Hey, all right. Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome.
You seem quiet to me. I'm gonna bump up your volume.
Okay. Okay. Sound better?
There. How about now?
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess right.
I don't know. I just when I hear myself, I sound as usual, but
yeah, okay. Hopefully that works.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Jodi Day.
Welcome to Jodi Day.
First day of the defense's case in chief. Very excited for this.
Yeah.
Who is the first? By the way, has anyone else caught on to the Easter eggs?
Well, the latest one. They should see the latest one.
Yeah, right.
I do. A few on the Discord have seen and commented, but I haven't found everything. So that's fun.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of fun. I like these little Easter eggs. But welcome everybody in the chat. Let me see. I'm looking at like 12 different screens right now because I'm also trying to monitor Facebook and see if anybody's in there. I don't see anybody in there yet. But we got Christine. Hello.
Rachel and Tweety and John, Atheist Ant, Ben there, Jenny, Farrell.
Jody, Salvador, Jenny B. Welcome all. Welcome. And for those of you who don't know, Nick and I are joint or dual streaming this, so you can hop back and forth and give us both some likes and all that good stuff. Yep. And you won't miss anything. Who's the lady on the drawing behind you? Oh, this right here? Yeah, that's... I don't know where that came from. That's my wife. That's not what she looks like, though.
Well, you did post... No, that was Ian who posted. He was out drinking yesterday with friends. And he's mentoring one future lawyer who calls him Law Dad. And
He posted a picture of his wife?
No, he was out drinking with lawyer friends.
I see.
Yeah.
Those are his wife's legs. Those are Jodi's legs. These are Jodi Arias' legs here. Her prison art. And they're amazing. This way up. Thank you. Thank you. So, I guess while we're killing a little bit of time and waiting for some people to join us, what are your thoughts on the state's case in chief? Do you think it was productive? I mean, do you think they have her made?
Through the evidence put in, yeah. Mainly because she more or less admits it by innuendo. So it all comes down to, do you actually believe that ninjas killed him but not her? Left her alive? I mean...
Salvador's not convinced. I don't know if anyone's going to convince Salvador that she's guilty.
Yeah. And Salvador, I was skipping motions. I checked out, but it seems like most of the state's shenanigans came during the defense case in chief.
Yeah, so, no, we're talking about they had so between the state's case in chief and the defense case in chief, they had a 10-day break, and during that 10-day time, they actually conducted some evidentiary hearings regarding some of the defense witnesses, and that's what we were hoping to play today. But we can't find a stream of it. I don't know if it exists. So we're just going right into the defense's case in chief with their witness. And so we don't have like the directed motion verdict or the motion for directed verdict or any of that stuff. We can't find it.
I need to fetch my nicotine pouches. 1 second.
Alrighty. So hi, everybody. She's innocent. She is innocent. You couldn't raid from my play. Oh, from your PlayStation. Oh, well, welcome, Flux. Welcome. Yes, and for those after Stabber Day with Baker, I joined over Flux for her Saturday morning Minecraft, and it's always enjoyable for Saturday morning Minecraft. And I don't know if she's good at it because I don't play it enough, but it looks fun.
Yeah, I was listening in on Baker's Stabber Day, and while I was out in the fields working, so yeah, that was interesting.
My wife was listening in and then started telling me some stuff to put in his chat about how, Baker, you have to face facts that your queen is in fact Swedish.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to say about Sweden, just remember your overlord is a Swede.
Yeah. And then I remember him saying something about, her mother was Swedish. Yeah, but she was born in Sweden. She had to gain a Danish citizenship. So how? Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Now, me and we in Denmark have been at peace for since we took back Skåne, and so we're good now. We're good now.
Well, yes. The Danish queen is Swedish, but the Swedish king, by the way, they're cousins, but the Swedish king is French, and his wife, or the Swedish king is French, but his wife is German and Brazilian.
German and Brazilian, yeah,
because her father fled to Brazil after World War II, so he got all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well, technically, he's not French. The Bernadottes, we bought the Bernadotte family from France, and to
bought them.
Yeah, we bought him over. Well, after that war, where the last king we had lost a lot of money, and the Bernadottes had a lot of money, so come over here and be our king and bring your money, and he did. And he promised to the French king, an emperor or whatever, that of course we will support French as soon as I become king. And we didn't.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that story. Yeah. They said we'll support the French as soon as as soon as they make me king, right? And then he was just like, just don't feel like it anymore. That sounds like a very kingly thing to do.
Yeah.
French and Swedish.
Hi, Baker.
Right. Oh, Christine and Glenda in Facebook. By the way, I'm going to address this specifically to Facebook. We see your chats sometimes, not always. Yeah. Sometimes Facebook will not show on StreamYard. So I know there's been some grumbling in Facebook chat about how come they're not pulling up Facebook chats, how come they're only pulling up YouTube chats. By the way, the YouTube chats outnumber you guys like 20-1. Yeah. So it's just, the numbers will dictate that more YouTube chats get pulled up. Yeah. But we do see them sometimes, most of the time, hopefully all the time.
Yeah. Mostly when we see them more when David hosts. We see them less when I host. So that might have something to do with it.
Yeah. And because we are dual streaming, but we also switch back and forth between hosting. So
yeah. And we are also on Rumble, on my Rumble.
Which I can't see at all.
No. No, Rumble chats never show up on StreamYard, but I do have the Rumble chat window open just to... So currently there are 4 looking at Rumble. So and 4 are better than none. So please make yourself noticed, and I will try to read it.
Out. And like I say to everyone in the chat, if you have a question, post it. And if we skip it, post it again because we probably didn't see it. And if you say something funny, I'll pull it up if it's funny.
Yeah. And if you really, really, really want to say something, $2 super chat or something.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. That would definitely get our attention. Yeah. So
my channel first.
Housekeeping out of the way. With the trial though. So we finished the state's case in chief. A little bit on a whimper. It wasn't the best witness to end with, but it was all right. We've gone through most, if not all, of her Jodi's interrogation video, which was entertaining. We've seen her pictures, which was lovely. And so now we're getting into the state's or the defense's case in chief, which, by the way, for everyone who is like, I thought there were like sex tapes and I thought there were like these other things. Yes, the state or the defense introduces them. So amazingly enough, the defense introduces them. Farrell, I'm going to take that as a vague threat and ban you right now. But so that's where we are. We're on the day one of the defense's case in chief. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say.
I just posted the link to my Rumble on my chat, but this it's Nick Starov Trial Watch, one word. No, so I'm posting it there.
Yeah, and the other thing too is Rumble is really hard to find for some reason.
Yeah,
like I was looking up. I had logged into I had jumped over to Rumble and looked for Steve Gosney. I thought I was subscribed to him, and I wasn't. So then I looked for him, and I couldn't find him. I typed it all kinds of different ways, and their search algorithm is not very good.
Yeah.
And then I had to jump back to his YouTube to get the link to his Rumble. It was a pain.
Yeah. But Pharaoh Housewife also posted the link on my chat. Maybe Pharaoh can do it on David's chat as well.
Cool. That means Pharaoh has to go over there. Most royal families were the American South. Wait, what? Guidepost for inbreeding. Yeah. Yes, they were. What's funny is World War I. Think of all the monarchs that fought each other in World War I. They were all first cousins.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It was a family dispute that killed millions of people. Think about that. Whoever loves the monarchy, think about that. A family dispute killed millions of people. Yeah, Farrell is banned right now. She can go over to my chat. She's been.
Tweety US News found me on Rumble. Hi, Tweety on Rumble.
So are we ready to start? We have some time today. I always like longer Jodi days because I can get into it. Unless there was something else we wanted to talk about.
No, I'm still Friday. Chat-faced for charity. Remember that. Friday, I will start at 11 p.m. my time, which is 5 p.m. Eastern. That is, you give money to Zachariah Anderson's defense fund, and some money to me, and you will watch. The entertainment will be me and other people getting pissed live.
Just reading about Sophia. So the runner-up in the Princess game for Sweden is much better looking than the winner of the Princess game for Sweden, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the Swedish royals started to become one with the people, and they are still have complete immunity. They can commit any crime and can't be prosecuted for anything, which means their car will be parked where they want to, and they can they can get away with anything. They can't be prosecuted. But Princess Madeleine and Chris O'Neill, an American billionaire, I think, I don't know where he got his money from. Because I don't care. Crown Prince Victoria married a gym owner, and then Prince what's his face married I almost said a prawn star, but no, she was one of these. Yeah.
So royals doing what royals do is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
Feral housewife, you have a naked sock puppet apology in Discord. That's all you're gonna get. All right, we can get going.
Why they are still exempt from any kind of law? No, I don't. Well, they marry down and marry up. They are still exempt from any democratic laws. So no, I'm not a royalist at all.
There is something to be said, though, for the idea of separating the pomp and circumstance that comes with an executive from actual government. I heard that argument a few months back, and it kind of makes you think about the president, who's the actual part of the government, and all this pomp and circumstance that goes around it. There's an argument that it's good to separate that
the testimony you're about to give
from actual government.
No, you don't have to pay to chat. We were just joking around. Almost. Okay, first witness.
Nobody was saying that you have to pay to chat. No one was saying that you have to pay to chat.
No, absolutely not.
You may proceed. Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Gus Searcy.
And Gus, what is it that you do for a living?
Cheech.
Many things, but the thing mostly is Legal Shield, or prepaid legal in the previous name.
Okay. And just for clarification, when did prepaid legal become Legal Shield?
July 1st, about 2 years ago.
Oh, he's one of the pyramid.
What is your position within the company? Is there a label for it?
This is the guy at the top of the pyramid.
$100,000 ring earner, which means I have this little ring. It means I make over $100,000 a year.
Oh, this guy was so cocky about this. So this is one of those guys, like if you ever did those pyramid schemes like Amway or whatever. And this is one of those guys that's like mid-level. He's got like 100,000 people working under him. So they run around like little ants or bees and sell everything. And he just keeps, he gets the 10% from every sale. That's this guy. Mm-hmm. And he's so cocky about it.
Yeah. When he's not making movies with Chong, involving bongs.
Exactly.
Do I get out of bed or not? And I'm executive director.
Okay, executive director. Could you describe for me or educate us all perhaps on the hierarchy of prepaid legal or
Good to know,
how that works in terms of where an executive director fits in and who's above him and who's below him? If you could explain that to the jury.
Legal Shield is a multi-level network marketing company that provides a legal insurance product and an identity theft product. And it has about a little over 400,000 associates. Out of those 400,000 associates, the goal is to attain a level such as myself or some of the other people in the company. And the main level that people want to get to is something called an executive director. Out of the 400,000 people in the company, there are approximately 1,500 executive directors. And then there's various levels of executive director from there up. The other thing that people want to attain is the $100,000 ring, because you could be an executive director but still not making a lot of money. But if you have the ring, it signifies that you've made a documented $100,000 in a 12-month period. So to be a ring earner and an executive director is a big thing. To be an executive director is a very big thing in the company.
I'm very good at scamming.
It's symbolized in part by the ring, but let me ask you this. You said there's various levels of executive
It references the ring like a dozen times.
Could you describe those for us?
Well, there's like bronze. There's executive director. That means you're an executive director. There's bronze. That means you've helped one other person become an executive director. There's silver, which is where I kind of fall. That means you've helped 2 people at least become executive director. Gold, you've helped 3 people become executive director. Platinum, 4, and then platinum 2, 3, and then it just keeps going up to diamond, I think, which is 13 or 14 people executive director directly under you.
He's so proud of it.
And you said you are at the silver level. You've made 2 people executive directors, right?
Yeah, okay. Directly underneath me. I've actually created a lot of executive directors, but yes.
Okay. Let me ask then, apart from
it looks like
what does
he's got his little name badge on.
Shield
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's got his name badge on.
It's prepaid legal. What do they sell to the customer?
The customer would be the average American public The premise is this: the average person checks their wallet before they check their rights, and the wallet says they don't have any. We fix that. We give the average person the ability to have access to proper legal service, legal advice, and identity theft monitoring and restoration services for about $1.19
It's like
a
a
day.
commercial. Everyone
It's a
wants
great
Legal
deal.
Shield.
So the associates market the insurance to
Physically, it looks
new
scummy.
customers, correct?
Friends,
scammy, yes.
businesses, group benefits, employee benefits, all kinds of things, yes.
Okay. And then do they then attempt to get other people to sell the insurance as also to become associates so they can build their business? Is that how
Some
that works?
do.
Daryl
and
House
some
just
don't.
tweeted out,
Most
it's Jodi
people who
Day,
wanna
star
build
of
a large
Niklas, some guy
organization,
from
think about an
Michigan.
insurance company. I mean, if you can sell insurance, you might be really good at selling insurance. There are people in our company that's all they do. Or you want to be an insurance broker. So you get other people to work for you, or like a real estate agent with a real estate
love you,
broker, and real
Daryl.
estate agents. It's that kind of thing.
Okay. So you are within the structure then financially
That's so
incentivized to get more people selling insurance for you. That's how you become executive director.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
the way to do it, is to build a team of people. So you're making a little bit off of each person.
Okay. And so if you said making a little bit off each person. So if you sell insurance to John, okay, and John turns around and sells it to Sally, you make money off the insurance. You, as the person who brought John into the company, makes money off the insurance John sold to Sally. Is that?
In a quick summary, yes. If I sold a $35.95 service, which is what it costs, $35.95 a month, I make anywhere from $34 to $252, depending upon what level I'm at in the company. As an executive director, I make $252 for collecting $35.95. If I bring John into the business and John goes out and sells something for someone, he makes anywhere from $34 to $252, and I make anywhere from $34 to $182 because I found John.
So if I understand you correctly in the system correctly, you make the most money as not only if you get John to buy insurance and sell it and then eventually sell to Sally.
How is this
if
relevant?
Sally sells to Fred, then you're making more money because the chain is growing, as it were.
That is correct.
Okay. And that's really ultimately how one becomes executive director. They get higher pay, and then they
it's relevant because
get to
if
Donna
she's going to
Ring
do
and
good,
meetings,
she's got to
correct?
talk to a
That
bunch
is
of
correct.
people. She's got to have a decent personality.
Now, in
and
terms
who's doing good,
of what you do for
and therefore
prepaid
she's a
legal,
good person.
I want to clarify, is it just a matter of you sell the insurance or do you do other things within the company?
Well, once you're hitting the level of executive director, there's a book that they publish called Profiles of Success. And
no, they are
it's one
not.
thing to be an executive director,
Love
it's the next
Ponzi
thing to be an
scheme is,
executive
but not a
director
pyramid
in
scheme.
Profiles of
Yeah.
Success.
There is
you have to hit
a
executive director.
legal definition
To be an
that
executive director in
that
Legal Shield,
differs
you
from
have to
country to
qualify
country.
every.
In some countries, all MLMs are illegal. In other countries, some are legal, some are deemed not. But I'm not sure about the definitions.
And in the United States, the big difference is that if you're getting paid a percentage of a sale, and the person above you is also getting a percentage of that sale, and the person above them is getting then a smaller percentage of that sale, that's multi-level marketing, and there's nothing wrong with it, except that it's kind of like if you're at the bottom of the totem pole, then you kind of get screwed over. But you have a free will to contract into it, and so it's not necessarily illegal. What's illegal is the Ponzi schemes, which is where people take money, essentially borrowing from Paul to pay Peter all the time, and hiding money and committing fraud in their stuff. There's a difference between those two. But multi-level marketing is not illegal.
Yeah, and even the percentage, it's about the product or the service has to be a real product or a real service.
Well, it does that. Yeah, it absolutely does. And that's why, like, I've had them call me to see if I would take their, referrals from them and stuff. And I won't, because they don't pay enough, but they do offer real services. There are real attorneys that take their services. Or like Amway sells products. It sells like energy drinks and nutrition bars and things like that. Essentially, though, it's the pencil you buy for $200, and you also get a free concert ticket with it. That's kind of the thing. They're just selling something because it has to be something. But the idea is you make the money off of the margins.
Yeah, I have a relative who is involved with Amway, and they have quite an enormous amount of products who are of decent quality but extremely expensive because everything is on the top. So everybody gets paid that percentage. So let's say
if everybody takes 3%, that 3% adds up. It's 3, 6, 9. So then you have like a 30% markup just to pay everyone.
Yeah. So you have a $5 pen that they sell for $12 just to have an overhead enough to pay everybody.
By the way, Amway is based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I don't care.
To do that, you don't just hit it and you're there. You have to qualify every single month. So once you've done it 8 months in a row, there's a book that's published with all the stars in the company, if you will. And it starts off with the ring earners. Like I said, out of 400 and some thousand people in the company, there's about 1,500 executive directors and about 250 ring earners. So the book will start with the ring earners, and then it flips through to the executive directors at the back.
Morning, Tara.
That are consistently producing.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you do anything to help market the company or promote the company at meetings or anything of that nature?
Yes. I get flown around the country to speak at meetings because ring earners and executive directors are, that's what everyone wants to attain. So they take us and they send us places to speak at meetings to inspire other people, because even though it's the same message, sometimes you hear it from a different person, suddenly it sinks in and goes, oh yeah, I can do that. Because it's the kind of thing that it's a really good thing that anybody can do, but a lot of people just don't succeed because they don't know how to succeed.
And so you say you speak at many different conventions or events. I don't know what they're called.
Business briefings, conventions, super Saturdays. There's different terms. There's a weekly meeting. Every week there's a weekly meeting everywhere in the United States. There's hundreds of them. Once a month they have something called a super Saturday that in each marketplace, all the meetings come together for one day. They have the national convention. They'll even have regional events.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the national convention. And I'll give you a minute to pour some water.
What is the point of this guy? Can I speed it up? Anyone have an objection to me speeding it up?
Is that national convention held in the same place every year, or?
Back then there were two. They used to hold one in Oklahoma, which they still do that one, and then they would hold one in either Dallas or Las Vegas.
And
every 6 months.
Tell us, if you will, how those conventions are set up. Is there's various meetings, some of these inspirational talks? Tell us how that works.
Before the main 2 days of the event, there's a lot of classes, training classes. For example, truck drivers. There's a great program for truck drivers, but you have to be CDLP certified, commercial driver's license certified to be able to sell that program. Or there's group benefits and you have to be certified. So there's classes like that.
Okay.
Then the night before the event starts, because it's usually Friday, Saturday. So the night before Thursday night, they have what's called the executive director banquet. And the executive director banquet is kind of like, to the average person, would be like the Super Bowl. To get to go to the executive director banquet is the thing. And if you're an executive director, you get to bring one person with you, and that person kind of just won the lottery ticket, if you will.
Okay.
Just always thinking about how.
Well, let me ask you this before we start talking, go back to the
how this
banquets.
helps Jodi's case.
These conventions, are they limited to people that have been working for the company a certain amount of period of time? Are they open to people that are just maybe interested in the business?
I like his shirt. I'm going to buy his shirt.
The convention's open to the people that are in the business.
Okay.
I'm sure there are people who aren't in the business that could come, but it's tailored towards people who are in the business, whether you're an associate, a junior associate and just starting, or a diamond. Okay. In the highest levels of the company.
So is it both a recruiting and motivational mission, or is it just strictly motivational for you?
It's more of it's more geared for the associates that are already in. It's to help keep them in the game, help build their belief, help build their, their thickness of skin, if you will. I mean, a lot of people tell you no. I mean, in my personal case, to get the ring, 5,784 people told me no. A lot of people get 2 no's and quit.
Okay.
So it's to help keep people in the game, help keep people inspired. And they see people go across stage. They bring people on stage from all walks of life, all races, all creeds, all financial beginnings that have achieved success.
Okay.
And it's very good. It's very heartwarming to see all of that.
Okay. Can you tell us now, going back to what you said about the executive director's banquet and somebody winning a lottery ticket to get in there or to be in there? Could you just kind of tell us what goes on at that and at this banquet, how the directors are treated or their speeches? Could you just kind of describe that for us?
Sure. It's a formal attire evening, tuxedo, formal gowns for women. So women love it because they get to get dressed up. And the men have to get dressed up. So that works out real well for the women. Only the executive directors who have qualified in the last 3 months are allowed to go.
She said she was going to a bunch of them
executive directors, each with a guest.
Okay.
There's people in that room that make anywhere from 100,000.
She said that she was going to meet up with some friends from the organization, whatever, and then she went to a bunch of banquets. But one of her alibis was that I think she was supposed to go meet up with some people that were in the business or with the company.
$1,000 a year to $4 million a year, and the royalty of the company, if you will. And so to be able to be at that banquet, you actually have the ability to walk up, shake their hand, talk to them, take a picture with them. The dinner is really good. And then the speeches that night are usually the newest $100,000 ring earner. So if you've got the $100,000 ring, this is your first opportunity to speak. And they usually have you speak there and they have you speak again at the convention in front of the entire congregation, if you will, the next day.
Okay. You mentioned, the people at this banquet making between $100,000 and $4 million. It sounds to me like is that advertised? I mean, is it common knowledge? Is it in these publications you've talked about? Person X made $250,000, or is that announced at the banquet? How does that work?
In the book that's published, it shows whether you're a $1 million ring earner, a $500,000 ring earner, a $250,000 ring earner, a $100,000 ring earner, an executive director. I kind of misstated. People at that banquet could be executive directors, and they make roughly $60,000 to $70,000 a year. So it's 60 to 70 on up. About $5,000 a month minimum if you're an executive director.
Okay.
Roughly.
But that's known, at least the minimum.
Fiery Red Podcast gifted to has a gifted membership post. Hello all, good day, Dave and Nicholas. Thank you. Yes, I don't see these things. And then Hempland Tex gifted 5 memberships, and those went to Jill Sturgis, Salty Dog 78, which I believe you were a member before, but I might be wrong. Lolita, Smiles, Chaz, and Stephanie Bland all got gifted memberships thanks to Hempland Tex. So thank you very much for that.
Kind of those individuals are known and is bantied about. Okay. You mentioned that a person who was not executive director who got invited to that banquet, I think your word was they won the lottery or got a lottery ticket.
Yes.
Could you explain to us what you mean by that?
Well, you're not an executive director and you're really into the whole Legal Shield family, the whole concept of what's going on, and you know who all these people are, and suddenly you get invited to go. I mean, it'd be kind of like if you were working at a presidential election and your candidate won and you got invited to the White House for the inauguration and a special banquet. It would be that kind of thing. So it's a very big deal.
Okay.
Is it a big deal? Yeah, I find
Talk a little bit about a little bit.
You
more
either
here
are trying to be sold Amway and you know about it, or you never hear of it.
And how you
you don't buy the products or
Yes.
anything. You just don't even know
Do
it
you know
exists.
that young lady sitting there?
Yes.
In the light blue shirt?
Yes.
Who is she?
Jodi
And do you know her last name?
Arias.
Arias. Have you ever heard pronounced any other way other than Arias?
No.
Okay. How did you come to know Jodi Arias?
Well, that would kind of explain a little bit about how I got into this whole thing.
Okay.
I'm a bit of an anomaly in the organization.
Who we approach her?
You may.
What was his objection?
I don't know, didn't hear it.
Well, that would kind of explain a little bit about how I got into this whole thing.
Okay.
I'm a bit of an anomaly in the organization.
Non-responsive.
Non-responsive.
It's the same.
Okay.
Who we approach her?
You may.
Yeah, I just saw a tweet that apparently the jurors have more questions, and Melly might be deadlocked, which is amazing to me that they're deadlocked. But,
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a discussion with Gosney yesterday on my Finally Friday stream, and as he articulated it, don't ever bore the jury. So it might just be that they simply didn't care about many of the evidence.
Yeah, because it was boring, and they just gave up, and they don't care at this point.
Yeah. And now when they have to give their evaluation of every evidence, hardly anybody of them seem to remember, but they are deadlocked in 2 camps. I haven't heard anything about how many there are in each camp, but we have to count in as well
Mr. Searcy, again, let me ask you if you could be so kind.
That they might know about the new Florida 8-4.
Yeah.
So they know that if, say, 3 of them are deadlocked to no, they don't want to, because even if they feel he's guilty, they don't feel it's enough for the death penalty. But if they reach sentencing, their 3 votes won't count, because Florida has an 8-4 vote. That's pure speculation on my side, but might have to count that in.
Yeah, you might. And Christine, I will be streaming a case as soon as one comes along. Sarah Boone's been adjourned, so I'm going to be hopping from various channels on Shabusiness next week. So that's where I will be. I'll post a link in Discord, and you guys will be able to find me.
To describe for us how you came to become acquainted with Jodi Arias.
She came, I had gone to speak in Arizona at one of the business briefings. And after the business briefing, they have kind of like what's called an after event, where they take the guest speaker, in this case me, and they take them out to dinner. And so all the associates in the meeting can kind of get to meet the guest speaker for that night. And she was at that meeting.
Okay, and kind of describe for me this meeting. I mean, you mentioned taking pictures, and is that what we're talking about, a kind of a social gathering, or is this like another event where the heads of the company, so to speak, are treated with like royalty, as you described?
No, this is an after event, after the business briefing, which is the formal press, where if someone wanted to learn about what we do, you would invite a guest, you'd go to the briefing, a speaker will come in, do a presentation for everyone, and then afterwards, they take the speaker out to dinner, and anyone who wants to come, guest or associate, is welcome to come. And it's kind of a casual social meeting at that point, and then people take pictures, they have you sign their books and things like that. And I met her at that point.
Okay. And do you remember when that was?
Not precisely.
Okay. Do you remember a year, a particular
It
convention?
was like 2007, 2008, somewhere in that range.
And you don't remember what meeting it was at or what convention?
I've done hundreds of them.
Okay. After meeting Jodi at this initial event, did your relationship with her continue?
Yeah, she had asked me to help her. And the reason, because I became an executive director in 90 days, it usually takes people a year to 2 years to hit that level. So a lot of people, not just Jodi, asking me for help so they can get past whatever level they're at.
Hempland gifted 5 on my channel as well.
Awesome.
To Christine Furtado, Salty Dog, Cindy J, Vivi, and Susan Lee. I do think all of them are previous members, but thank you so much for gifting, so these people can keep watching members-only content and keep going to my Discord. I have a Discord nowadays. There's a link to it on my community page for members.
Do you think while this witness is testifying, he's thinking up here about all of Jodi's parts?
Yep.
Yeah.
For helping people do that.
Okay, so it wasn't uncommon for you to receive a request like that for help?
No.
Okay.
I have lots of them.
And just so we're clear, what do you mean by helping people get past their level? I mean, are you talking about sales techniques, marketing technique? Is that what we're talking about? Or
we all
that
have the same
witness is
product at the
making
same
bank
price, the same
on
marketing
this
tools. So it's really
testimony,
not about
broadcasted everywhere. Hey, look, you can get good legal help if you just contact me.
Is that where you're getting paid, sir, the defense counsel?
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Letitia Stout case when they brought the budget rent-a-car guy on the stand, and he gave like a 30-second commercial when they asked who he was and what he does for a living. And this guy's doing the same thing with this. He's like trying to sell you on multi-level marketing. You should all join. It's great legal coverage, and there's plenty of opportunities for advance. And you could be like $100,000 earner, or you even a $4 million earner.
It's about what's in people's heads. So I need to find out what's making them not succeed.
Well, in Travis' heads was a
company has a
bullet.
very simple process. If you follow the process, you do what we ask you to do, you'll probably succeed if you do it right. So there's their emotions involved. There's like some people, they're afraid to talk to their family because they're embarrassed, or they're shy, or they don't quite believe in the product that they got involved.
I got sucked into a cult that's also a scam, and I don't want to tell my family because it's embarrassing.
So you need to get into their head, find out what's going on with them. And then what I usually do is set up some kind of accountability where they will say, all right, I want you to call me once a week or twice a week, depending on the situation. Let me know what you're doing or how many people you've shown the service to that week, or something that kind of forces them into a action, because it's kind of like Weight Watchers. If you got to show up every week to somebody, you're going to be more likely to do something than if you are completely on your own.
Okay. And is this the type of relationship you began to develop with Jodi Arias?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you speak to how much contact you had with Ms. Arias over the ensuing months? Was it weekly? You talked about checking in monthly. Do you know?
Probably at minimum of once a week, we would touch base with each other.
Okay. Was it strictly business, or did you ever become friends?
Well, I'm usually friends with most people I deal with. I tend to work on a personal level as opposed to a business level. So yes.
Okay. So it wasn't just a matter of discussing business. You became friends. That's how you tend to do things.
Yeah, because you get to know people. That's how you're going to get to know. If it's strictly business, you don't really get to know what's going on with them.
Okay. So over those months, you got to know Ms. Arias fairly well. Is that
yes.
right? Okay. During your interactions with Ms. And I want to clarify before we go any further, your relationship with Ms. Arias, was that strictly platonic, or was there any romantic or sexual?
Be honest. Remember, you're under oath.
Just platonic.
Okay.
She had a boyfriend.
Okay. And who was that boyfriend?
Travis. Okay. Alexander.
And
by the way, I will say this too, is that all these people hold themselves out to be wealthy. And yes, this was Jodi Arias' job, but she also had a side job as a waitress. And Travis Alexander was so tight for money that he was bringing in roommates to help pay his mortgage. So this is not a viable career option, I don't think, for most people.
You knew Travis as your boyfriend. To your knowledge, did a lot of people know about that? I said to his knowledge.
I assume you answered yes or no. Overruled.
To my knowledge, I don't know how many people knew. That wasn't something I was concerned about. I knew, but it wasn't something I didn't conduct a survey.
In the time of your relationship with her, did you ever know her to dress in a way that you thought was over sexual or inappropriate?
Approach.
I'm not sure what's wrong with his testimony to have all these objections.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I don't know why it's relative, but that could have been handled pre-trial.
Let me ask you, Mr. Searcy, during the course of your relationship with Ms. Arias, I know you talked about meeting her at a
spend money to make money, Farrell.
And I know you talked a lot about a fair amount of phone calls that you had, weekly phone calls. How many other times did you physically see her? Were you in contact with her, be it at meetings, be it on a personal level, anything of that nature? Did you have any idea?
Well, I'd see her at the national convention, see her at the after event, see her at the...
The objection was foundational, lack of foundation for the questions regarding Travis and Jodi's relationship. And now he seems to be going back a little bit and trying to establish a foundation. So it sounds like it was sustained at sidebar.
Regional event. So maybe 4 or 5, 6 times, not counting time she met with me personally.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Not counting the time she met with me personally.
Okay. And do you have any idea about how many times she met with you personally over the year or so that you knew her?
Just probably twice.
Okay. As it relates to all those meetings, both personal and professional, did you see her ever dress in a inappropriate manner?
No, she was always dressed very feminine, but she was very conservative.
Overall, the answer was stand.
And what was that? Describe that again for us, please.
I said she was always dressed very feminine, but very conservative. Always long sleeves, high necks, long dresses or slacks, nothing provocative in any way. Very, very professional.
Okay, and that was both in your personal interaction and professional interaction with her at these meetings, right?
Yeah, even personally, she'd always wear like jeans and long turtleneck kind of sweater thing.
Was, going back to these meetings you've had with her, was she ever sexually inappropriate in her conduct?
No. I watch for those kinds of things because some women I help.
Sustained.
Just describe for us how you can come to that conclusion.
Because I help various people, men and women, and how they dress, how they act, all affects things. Now, some women, they dress too provocative and men don't take them serious. They want to date them rather than join them.
Okay.
And so they need to tone it down, or some, dress too wild, or it's even as subtle as their cell phone. When someone calls their cell phone, the message on it is some kind of weird music or something, which is inappropriate for a professional business person if someone's calling you. So I take all of the
We're
factors into
professionals
consideration.
selling professional services.
Let me ask it this way then. These are factors you take a look at when you're mentoring both men and women in the business.
Correct.
Okay. And as it relates to the conduct of a female that you might be mentoring, you never found, Ms. Arias, you never needed to direct her in any way regarding being overly flirtatious or her phone or anything of that nature. All very professional, right? Did you observe her behavior to be professional?
Yes.
Could you describe for us, and you mentioned a couple of the personal interactions you had with her, not at the business briefing.
Yeah.
Could
How dare you
describe,
have Star
say,
Wars
for example,
Star
first
Wars
occasion?
ringtone when you're a professional?
I was in Las Vegas speaking at the local business briefing. It wasn't the convention, it was the local business briefing. And she had called me and she was very upset. Her and Travis had an argument.
Sustained.
When she
Without
called
saying
you,
what
what was
you
her
said.
demeanor?
She was very upset.
Okay. Did you have an understanding of why?
Yes.
And what was that understanding?
Approach.
Oh, God. Okay. Hearsay. He can't testify to what Jodi Arias told him because the defense is eliciting hearsay testimony. Now, while there is an exception for party opponent because the testimony is elicited by Jodi, she is not the party opponent. She is the party. So he can't ask any questions about what Jodi said to him because it's hearsay. And that's why people say, what you say to the police can and will be used against you. And you can't cross-examine it. You can't call another witness to the stand and say, well, isn't it true that my client said this? Because you're eliciting impermissible hearsay. So not only can they use it against you, you can't cross and ask them what they actually said or do anything like that because you can't admit hearsay. So it's always, always, always bad to talk to people. Courtroom seems smaller than I thought it was, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I remember it being much larger, at least the audience portion, the gallery. They still
I
call
don't
it a
know.
gallery.
I haven't seen any of it.
Your knowledge, where did she live? When you received this phone call from
That's a good question,
Ms.
Matt.
Arias and she was upset, to your knowledge, where did she live at that point in time?
She was in Arizona.
And to your knowledge, was she intending
So we had to move on.
You may answer only yes or no.
Restate the question, please.
To your knowledge, was she moving away out of Mesa, Arizona?
Yes.
And she described for you why.
Yes.
Do you remember month and year of the time that this took place?
I can't remember exactly this long down the road.
Okay, you mentioned that you were in Vegas in your
Yes.
motorhome, right?
Correct.
And Miss Arias came to stay with you?
Yes,
that-
I invited her. She said she needed to get away.
Sustained.
She came to stay with you on her way out of Mesa, right?
What?
Overruled. You may answer yes or no.
Yes.
And she spent some time with you at your motorhome, correct?
That is correct.
He makes $100,000 a year and lives in a
matter of hours, a
motorhome.
matter of days? Can you describe that for us?
About 2 days.
He lives in a
2 days, 1
motorhome.
night.
And
Or lived in his motorhome. Maybe he had a motorhome which he lived in. But
I missed that. I was responding to stuff.
yeah. But if he's traveling around the state, he might just use a motorhome to get around. I don't know.
He lives in a
that's
motorhome
weird.
and he looks like that and wearing his gold ring. That's awesome.
during those 2 days and
that's
1
amazing.
night, did she ever make any sexual advances upon you?
No.
He's living in a van down by the river.
To your knowledge, during those few days, did she ever speak to Travis Alexander?
Objection, Letter Foundation hearsay.
Overruled,
Yes.
answer yes or no.
Yes.
Keeping him on a tight leash.
Did Mr. Alexander, to your knowledge, ever come to the motorhome?
No.
Objection, speculation, when?
That's not speculation to your knowledge. It's not speculation, first of all. And then Jenny, to answer your question, Nick, do you know if Jeff is covering the Melly Jury Watch? Has he got that going?
I think he has visitors, so he's currently not. I'm checking to see if anybody I subscribe to
Is doing the the verdict watch.
No, it doesn't seem like that. Yeah. If there's still a jury or verdict watch after we're done with Jodi, I will put up a stream for it.
Okay, sounds good. And Moni G, welcome. Thank you. Yes, I am hopefully going to get with Nate the lawyer and do something this weekend. It might be today, it might be tomorrow, but subscribe. And once the link goes up, you should get notification of that.
Oh, you're getting up in the butter.
Trying to spread my
To your
wings.
knowledge, while Miss Arias
No,
was
Nate's
there at your motorhome, spending these 2 days and 1 night with you, did Mr. Alexander arrive at your motorhome? Was he there?
No.
I had to pull this up, Brandon.
There's not a verdict.
To your knowledge, did you receive any phone calls from Mr.
watch
Alexander?
on Law and
Yes.
Seaward.
Is there a verdict watch on Law and Seaward?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, post a link up if Jeff's not doing it, but he covered the whole trial. But yeah, do a verdict watch. That would be cool.
How were you aware that Mr. Alexander was calling her?
The motorhome is very large, but it's long as opposed to wide. So I was sitting on one couch, she was sitting on the other. We'd been talking about this far away between me and this gentleman here. The phone rang. And if you're in a
Was
real
she
quiet room and
naked?
someone's that close, you can hear what the other side is saying. So she answered the phone. She said, he was hi.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
May we approach?
Okay, so let me. I just want to talk about the detail because this is good foundation, right? How do you know what Travis said, right? And how do you know what Travis said is because they laid the proper foundation. Where were you? How far apart were you? She got a phone call. I could hear it, and then the witness said, Jodi said hello. Now Jodi saying hello is technically hearsay. It's a stupid objection because it's not really relevant to anything, but technically it's hearsay and it's not permissible. So just wanted to point that out. But that was good foundation laying. He should have done that from the beginning.
If he heard Travis, can he testify to what Travis said? Since
Travis is no longer alive, there is a exception for when people are no longer alive to be able to permit their testimony, their statements being brought in. In fact, you covered it with the was it you or Baker who was doing the guy who was representing himself? The impro per defendant with the 76-year-old SA victim.
Yeah, that was Baker.
Okay, so there was a lot of the woman's statements that were permitted in court, even though they were hearsay, and she wasn't there to testify because she was no longer alive. So I don't know the court rules. Every court rule is a little different, so we'll see how the judge deals with that. Are they going to be able to get in Travis's statements over the phone call? To me, they should be able to. So it sounds like that's what they're going to have. Well, they objected to Jodi saying hi, which is stupid. It's a stupid. Technically, yes, it's hearsay, but it's stupid. What they're really concerned about, I think, is Travis's statements, because once he says what Travis says, that can't be unheard by the jury, right?
Yeah.
Well, nobody cares about the high from Jodi. The issue is what Travis said, and they're going to try to paint him, Travis, as an abuser, an angry person. And so maybe he was angry on the phone, and maybe that's the statements that they want to get out. Maybe he's yelling at Jodi. But even if they can't get the statements out, they could say, okay, she had a phone call with Travis. You heard it was Travis, so you know it was Travis. Then she hung up. How was her demeanor afterwards? Oh, she was extremely upset. She appeared extremely upset. You know, that's enough to make the inference if you can't get the hearsay in. So we'll see how they go with that.
This phone call we were speaking about, did Ms. Arias identify who she was speaking to?
Yes,
And whom was that?
Travis.
Travis Alexander?
Travis Alexander.
Okay. Could you describe for us, you talked about being.
Well,
in
they're
this
working on it,
small motorhome.
Jodi.
So could you describe for us her demeanor after the phone call?
Well, once it got heated, she excused herself, stepped outside. She talked to him for about a half an hour outside. And when she came back in, she was shaking and crying.
Okay.
See, okay. So that's exactly
Have you
what I
seen
thought they were
her,
going to do.
Act
They
like
brought
that
in
before
her
in any of your
demeanor.
prior interactions with her?
No,
Did you ever see Miss Arias get mad at Travis?
no,
You mentioned you saw Miss Arias a second time after this time you met in Las Vegas. What was that? When was that?
she was moving to Northern California and she had had her phone stolen. So I helped her get a phone. So she met me to get the phone.
Holly, I'm assuming they did establish some sort of foundation for that. Otherwise, it would have been an objection as to how do you know it was Travis?
And how long was that interaction?
10 minutes, not very long. We just met, said hello, gave her the phone. She was on her way.
Okay. Moment,
What
Your
she's all upset is when you make your move, right, Salvador? He knows the routine.
Oh,
Salvador has such a misguided approach to women. It's awesome. Like everything he knows about women, he watched from like 90s
That's all the
movies.
questions I have for right now.
Cross-examination.
So with regard to this prepaid legal outfit that you work with, I think the term that you used was that it's multi-level marketing business, right?
Yes,
And it appears from the way that you described it is that if somebody signs somebody else up and there's somebody that you signed up, then you benefit, correct?
say that one more time.
You signed somebody up, for example,
Yes,
and then they sign somebody up. It seems that you profit from that signing up of the last person, don't you?
yes, we profit from all the people.
So the answer is yes, you do profit, right?
Yes,
And it appears in the way that you describe all of this that there are a very few number of people, whatever designation you may give them, directors, give them rings, whatever, that are at the very top. There's some sort of elite people at the very top, right?
yes,
And those people are profiting from what everybody else is doing down here, right?
as they profit themselves.
But the answer is yes, these people up here profit by whatever is going on down here, right?
Yes,
And that's how the money is made, right?
yes,
That's how one reaches the $100,000 club, right?
yes.
By being at the top of the pyramid, those are the people that are really making the money, right?
It's not a pyramid.
I didn't say it was a pyramid. I
You
said
just
at the
did.
top, at the top of the pyramid.
That implies a pyramid in my logic,
So is that a yes or a no, or do you not want to answer?
not as stated.
So you don't want to answer that question, indicating that the people that are at the top of what appears to be a pyramid, those people are the ones that are making the money.
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
It's not a pyramid, so to say it is would be wrong. It is multi-level, that I will agree with,
Well, sir, so your answer is you won't answer that question, right? As proposed.
as stated.
Okay, well then let's use a triangle, right? It's
None of
not
this
called a pyramid,
matters.
let's call it a triangle. The people at the very top of the triangle, those are the people that are the directors, those
Why
are the
does
people
this
that have the
matter?
rings, those are the people that go to the executive ball, right?
It's more like a circle if you want to get into geometry.
Sir, that's not my question to you, is it? I'm asking you who's making the money, aren't I?
The people who work the hardest,
Sustained.
Who's making the money?
The people who
that
work.
are at the top, or the people that are down here that they signed up?
sir, you are wrong. There are people at the top that don't have anybody
Objection,
underneath them.
non-responsive. Go ahead.
There are people in this company making hundreds of thousands of dollars that don't have anyone underneath them. They go out and sell it as an employee benefit. You sign up Southwest Airlines, for example, one of our clients, you're a millionaire. You don't need to recruit anybody. So that what you're stating isn't correct. And you're asking me to state something that is not correct for your purposes, not the truth.
I don't like this prosecutor's approach. He is an angry little elf. He's attacking stuff that's irrelevant, and I like how calm and cool the witness is staying. Honestly, what do you think, Nick?
Yeah, because now the prosecution are going into facts already admitted. What is there to? This is only to attack the credibility, and yes, I understand that in some form, but there are other ways to attack. And with this angry approach, no, I kind of liked it during his case in chief. This I don't. Yeah, no, I'm not really enjoying this.
Like a little terrier. Yeah, that's exactly. He's like a little yappy dog, right? The prosecutor.
So the model that you previously described, the people that were in the $100,000 club, you signed up Southwest Airlines?
I personally didn't, but I
Yes or
sold
no?
1,000 memberships myself.
Objection, non-responsive, Jen.
Sustained.
The question is, sir, did you sign up Southwest Airlines?
No.
Did you sign up any big company at all?
Yes.
Who did you sign up? Go ahead, tell me.
City of Norwalk, City of Garden Grove,
And that's the reason why you're in the $100,000 club?
partially. It's partially because of both. It could be a mixture. Some
And-
people recruit only. Some people sell only. Some people like myself
Sir,
do all of
Let
the
me ask
above.
you this question. She was making a lot of money? We're talking about the defendant?
No, she was not an executive director. She was trying
Right,
to.
so the answer is she wasn't making a lot of money, right?
That's correct.
She hadn't signed any big businesses, right?
That's correct.
And the reason that she was under your tutelage was that you were trying to groom her so that she would be able to present herself, so she would be of the mindset to go out and sell this, right?
That's correct.
In terms of the money that was coming in, the approximately $40 a month that was coming in for her, that money, if she had somebody above her, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
So
Not
the-
me.
So, and if she signed somebody up, the person above her would be making the money, right?
That is correct.
And the people that are above each other, those are the ones keeping out the business people, the business accounts.
While he was
Those
in
are the
law
ones
school,
that
this
are making the
prosecutor
money,
bought
right?
Amway, and now he's mad.
Everyone makes money who sells or helps people make sales.
The big money, I'm talking about the 100,000. If you take out the business like Southwest, the people at the very top, and you only talk about individuals, those people have other people underneath them, and they take some of the money from the people underneath them, right?
There are people who do that, yes, and there are people who don't, but they
And-
still make money.
The majority of the people that are making money in that company are the people that have signed up a lot of people,
That
correct?
would call for speculation on my part. I don't know everyone's individual financial method.
But it could be, right?
Could be.
Sustained.
You said that you met the defendant in 2007 or 2008, right?
Probably late 2007 initially. I had gone to speak in Arizona.
So what month was that?
I don't remember.
And you became, what was the occasion again?
I was speaking at a local business briefing.
And she happened to be there, right?
That's correct.
So that was a professional setting, right?
Correct.
And you saw her 4 other times in a professional setting, right?
That's correct.
How much time did you spend with her that first time that you met her?
The first night,
Yes, sir.
well, the after event probably lasted 45 minutes to an hour. And she was one of the people that I was interacting with. So if I'm going to break it down in minutes,
Melly jury has a
maybe
question.
10 or
that's
15
all.
minutes the first night.
All right. And then after that, when did you meet her again?
Physically?
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
So that
Well,
you could
there's
see what
talking
she-
on the
excuse
phone
me,
also.
I have a question. So that you could see what she was wearing. Okay. The second time that you met her,
You're very welcome.
what was that occasion?
And thank you.
At a national convention
Where?
in, I believe that one was, you know what, I honestly don't remember if it was Oklahoma or Las Vegas. It was one of the two. I don't remember the
So you don't know
timing.
where you met her the second time,
I
right?
know where I met her. I don't know when.
You don't know when and you don't know where, right?
I don't know when, but I know it was either Las Vegas or it was Oklahoma. That's the
Sure.
only two places the conventions are.
So you don't know where you met her then, right? If you don't, can you, as you said here, can you tell me it was Oklahoma City? Yes or no?
Could have been,
Right. It could have also been Las Vegas, right?
could have been. It was one of the two. I
Right.
don't know which.
So you don't know where you met her, exactly the place, right?
That doesn't mean I didn't meet her.
Is that the question that I'm asking you, sir, whether or not you
Sounds
met
like
her?
it to me.
Sir, you don't know where you met her the second time. That's what you're telling me, right?
I know approximately,
Approximately means you don't know, right?
if that makes you happy.
Nothing here is to make the prosecutor happy. You understand that? Why don't you want to answer my question?
Okay, so we're all members of the jury, right? And we're watching this. Are you rooting for the prosecutor or are you rooting for the witness who's just like calmly answering questions and it appears to me being badgered by the prosecutor? Who are we siding with here? You're muted, Nick.
If you're only watching the trial and not anything that goes on outside of the court. I'm being pissed off at the prosecutor at this time. The guy is trying to answer questions, and when he can't, he said it's either Oklahoma or Las Vegas. I don't know which of the one I met her the second time. That's a perfectly good answer.
Right. Or when he's saying it's a pyramid, right? And he was saying, I wouldn't call it a pyramid. And then the prosecutor's like, well, I didn't call it a pyramid. And in the rephrasing of the question, he literally calls it a pyramid. He's like, listen, I know you think it's a pyramid, fine, but I don't see it as a pyramid, and he had a reasonable explanation, but he keeps badgering him.
Yeah.
Rooting for badly or rooting for baldly. I see that. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make the prosecutor seem likable, right?
But so now the prosecution, he yelled at his own witnesses, but now this is getting close to badgering the witness.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, and the witness is not doing anything to avoid answering the question. He's answering at best of his ability.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I just don't like his approach at all. He mentions it in his book. I've been reading his book, by the way, and I'm almost done with it. But he mentions that he has a certain style and technique that he's used in every trial. And then during the case, he would read news media reports and watch the news, and they were talking about how vicious he was and how rude he was to some of the witnesses and to his approach, which was interesting because I feel like in today's world, it's the opposite. The news media attacks the defense counsel, not the prosecutor, no matter what the prosecutor does. And you see that in, Alex Murdaugh or Zachariah Anderson or whatever. But he thought to himself, at least he writes in his book, am I going to change my approach? No, it's always worked. I feel like the jury responds, so I'm just going to keep doing it. So this is his normal.
Yeah, it's all the remember, this is 12 years ago. I don't know what was happening around multi-level marketing stuff in the United States 10, 12, 15 years ago.
There was a big push for it, and there was a lot of scandals surrounding it. Like Amway was under attack, and there was a lot in the news media about multi-level marketing and how bad it was and how it was a scam and stuff. So that was big at the time.
Okay, so this might be that the jury already have something against the multi-level marketing guy.
Yeah, that could be. And maybe that's why he feels comfortable doing it. I just thought it was interesting in his book. He mentioned that the news media was attacking him for being so aggressive in court. And I thought to myself, I don't see that anymore. Even really aggressive prosecutors get praise from the media these days.
Yeah.
Again, part of the reasons why I wanted to watch this is the dynamics between the case from, 10, 11 years ago, as opposed to today.
Yeah. But then again, after this, a few years after the trial, this prosecutor he would have been disbarred if he hadn't resigned.
Yeah.
And this, he was under more of investigations than about this trial. It was other trials as well, and his behavior towards women in his office.
So I can defend multi-level marketing in this way because I've defended it before. I don't like it. I wouldn't do it. But if you are, say, working for Lockheed Martin and you are a salesman, your job is to sell certain number of airplanes, whatever, to the military. And part of your salary is commission. Now, you sell a jet to the military, you get a whatever percentage of a cut of it. The more jets you sell, the bigger your percentage is. And if you are a manager of other sales associates and those other sales associates do good and Lockheed Martin decides to give you a bonus at the end of the year because your team did good, you then make money off of the sales that your underlings sold, right? That's essentially the same thing, but you don't call that you don't call Lockheed Martin a pyramid scheme, right? And so that's how I defend this. I don't think it's right because I think they take advantage of the people at the lower end. that end up buying a bunch of it, and they get wrapped up in the sales pitch, and it's a little slimy in their approach, but the structure is no different than any sales team in any corporation. That's my defense.
I'm answering your question.
All right,
I met her either in Oklahoma or Dallas. It was, or Las Vegas. It was one of the two.
So
I don't remember precisely which one. It's 5 years ago.
5 years ago. And it could have been Dallas too? Is that what you're saying?
No.
And when you met her, what was the purpose of that meeting?
Well, when we go to the conventions, first off, there's the
No,
social.
no, no. In meeting her, what was the purpose of meeting her?
Check in with her, see how she was doing, what she was up to, how her, because we talk in between, remember. It's not like I don't talk to her for 5 months. We talk about once a week.
Sir, I'm asking about meetings. I'm not asking you about when you talked with her. We're talking about you meeting her at a conference, right?
Yeah, say
Okay,
hello.
so when she came to this conference and you met her, wherever it was, how much time did you talk to her?
Through the whole convention, probably a couple hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours.
And during
All
that
told.
time, you were one of the presenters, right?
Yes, occasionally.
Well, occasionally means what? That you did or you did not present? What is it?
I present at various times. It
I'm
depends
talking
on.
about the second time when you met her, sir. Did you
Now,
present? Yes or
witness
no?
is getting irritated. Here, I
Yeah.
feel that the
Present
defense should
2007
go in
on
with
the stage. I presented at the breakout.
So you presented at the breakout. And during the breakout, was she in your?
The thing I don't like about these, though, I will say, the pyramid, the multi-level marketing, whatever you want to call it, is the sales approach. It all feels like slimy used car salesman stuff. He presented at this conference. They have these huge conferences, which are almost like a church service,
breakout session?
and they preach.
No, she's in a different organization.
All right. And during that time that you were out there, how many days was this convention, wherever it was?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And how many times did you see her during that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Probably 3 or 4 times.
And people that go to these conventions, they're expected to dress in a professional manner, right?
Well, yes.
Yes, right? And she dressed as expected in a professional manner, right?
Yes.
And when was the other time that you met her? Now, we've talked about 2 times. What about the 3rd time?
Well, let's continue on with that time. I
Sir,
met her
I'm
several.
asking you when you met her the 3rd time. You don't get to ask the questions. I do. So when was the 3rd time you met her?
3rd time I met her would have been at a breakout session or at one of the other, or the parties that night.
So it's still the same conference then, right?
Right.
All right. When was the other time you saw her after that?
After that would have probably been one of the next conventions,
So,
which would therefore be Dallas Las Vegas or Oklahoma.
and so that's the total of the 5 times, 4 or 5 times that you saw her, right?
That's correct.
And in addition to those 4 or 5 times, which appears that you saw her at 2 conventions or at 2 meetings, right?
Over a
Yes.
period of several days,
Well, there was this convention either in Las Vegas or Oklahoma, and you saw her 3 or 4 times there, correct?
right?
And then you saw her one other time here in the Valley, right?
Right. And I saw her at one of the other conventions.
What other convention was that?
Okay, we have 2 conventions a year, 6 months apart. One of them is in Oklahoma, the other one was in Las Vegas.
We've
I
heard
saw-
that.
I
Where
have
did you
both
see
of
her
them.
the 3rd convention, this other convention? Where
Good
did you
call,
see her?
Matt.
Name
It was the opposite of the other one, whatever it was.
So you don't know is what you're
I don't remember. It was 5 years ago.
Not remembering means you don't know. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't remember precisely. It was one of the 2.
And during this 3rd convention or seminar, whatever it was, again, this was a professional setting, right?
There's also parties afterwards where everyone gets dressed up pretty wild sometimes at the parties. They have after events that are spectacular, in fact, legendary.
So people go there.
Legendary.
Steam too, then,
In
right?
the evenings, yes.
After parties.
Yeah, so
Big parties.
how many, in that time, this 3rd time, wherever it was, how many times did you see her?
Again, about the same time, 4 or 5 times over a period of 3 or 4 days.
And during that time, you were a presenter too, weren't you?
At that one, I believe I was, yes.
And during this time, you were busy preparing whatever you were going to say, right?
I already knew what I was going to say.
Well, when did you present? The 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, or the 4th day?
The second day,
And
after the day,
second-
Friday, the day after the executive director for banquet.
Yes,
Apologize.
counsel. Mr. Searcy, the court reporter can only record one of you at a time, so please do not speak over each other.
Thank you.
Next
so
question.
you presented at this other event, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I don't know what
That's
he's
when
doing.
you saw her again, correct?
yes,
And during this time, again, everyone during the day is expected to dress professionally, right?
right?
And that's how she dressed, correct?
And in the evenings as
Sir,
well.
am I asking you about the evening? I'm not, am I?
Continue.
Sir, I asked you a question. Am I asking you about the evening?
I don't even know what it is.
Now,
What's his question?
after that, you said that you did see her on a personal level on 2 occasions, right?
Yes,
And one of them involved your mobile home, right?
motorhome.
Motorhome, right?
Yep,
And she came by and she stayed 2 days and 1 night, right?
correct.
Where was this mobile home, sir?
Las Vegas.
And the other time that you met her was involved telephone or something like that?
I talked to her on the telephone on many occasions.
No. I'm talking about the second time that you saw her other than your,
Oh, in California.
and you saw her in California?
Yes,
What town?
I believe it was Pasadena.
And
You were not
what
doing
date
the
was
same
that?
as the others.
I don't
Pharaoh.
remember, 5 years ago.
Was it in Pasadena? What were you doing in Pasadena when this happened?
I had arranged to meet her there because it was on the way for her where she was going.
Well,
north.
I'm not asking you what she told you. I'm asking you what you were doing there.
I went there to meet her.
All right. And if you went there to meet her, tell me the name of the town that you met her.
I already did, Pasadena.
Okay. And what time of the day did you meet her?
It was probably late morning, early afternoon, somewhere
So
around there.
late morning to you would be 10, 11 o'clock. Is that what it would be?
Yeah,
And that's when you met her, right?
I'm not exactly sure. Somewhere around it. It would have been more than 10 and before 2. Because I
All
have
right.
kids to pick up from school and get to school, and it would have been in between that
So
time,
it's 10 and 2, right?
somewhere in there.
And did you give her a telephone or not?
Yes,
And you gave her a telephone. And what was the reason you gave her a telephone?
because she needed one.
And what kind of telephone did you give her?
It's called a Helio.
All right. So you purchased the Helio telephone then, right?
They gave it to me.
Okay. You were able to get a hold of the Helio telephone, right?
That's correct.
And then you gave it to her in Pasadena between 10 and 2 during the day, right?
Correct.
And what day was it that this happened?
I don't know.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Wow, that
Well-
was interesting.
What? That led to nothing?
That led to absolutely nothing. That was just all like an attack on the prepaid legal multi-level marketing pyramid thing. It was
Yeah.
literally nothing about Jodi's personality, the phone call, the fact that Travis was angry or apparently
No.
on the phone call. Jodi was
That-
upset after the phone call.
That was the only reason was to undermine him as a witness. That's it.
Yeah, but I don't think he did a good job.
No.
Begin by clarifying some of the things that you were asked regarding the
So it's a baby
structure
burner phone.
of prepaid legal and the state trying to impose the dynamic of a pyramid upon it.
Objection, argumentative, what the state is attempting to do relevant.
Let me ask you this. Did you, in your mentoring role with Ms. Arias to help her become more profitable, did you personally profit?
No, not a dime.
Okay. And could you explain to us how that works? I mean, is there different teams? How is the structure of the nation set up where somebody, obviously, as you've described before, is making money if Ms. Arias sells a membership, but who would that person be to her? How does that link work?
Well, you kind of look at this as think of a prepaid legal show like the NFL. And within the NFL, you have the Miami Dolphins, different Steelers, you have different teams. Jodi was part of Mr. Hughes's team, Chris Hughes's team. And I am part of a team called Team Pinnacle. So we're on different teams. But I help people regardless of what team they're on. So it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. So you weren't directly profiting off Ms. Arias' sales, Mr. Hughes was?
Correct.
To your knowledge, okay. You were also asked about her income, how much money she was making, how successful she was. Did you have direct access to her W-2s or knew how much she was making?
No.
She was just asking for help to succeed more in this aspect of her life. Is that correct?
Right.
You were asked about some of the various meetings you had with her, and there was some questioning about the second meeting you had with her that was either at a convention, as either Las Vegas or Oklahoma City, correct?
Right.
Okay. And you were asked about her attire during that meeting, and I believe that was about a 3 or 4 day meeting, as you described?
Right.
Okay. You were asked if people are expected to dress professional at the meeting. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you recall telling us that the expectation was that people were to dress professionally, right?
During the day.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, just as it relates to the day, before we move on to the evening, did everyone always adhere to that during the day?
No,
You also mentioned there was, I believe you said after parties and parties in the evening where professional attire was not the norm, I guess, right? Is that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to make sure.
yes, absolutely.
It was more casual or nightclub type attire.
Very
correct?
nightclubish.
Okay. And was there alcohol at these parties?
Yes,
Okay. Did you ever see, see this as it relates to Miss Arias, did you ever see her dressing inappropriately at any of these evening functions or after parties?
no, she was always dressed very conservative, even whether it was business attire or non-business attire.
Did you ever observe her during any of these after parties acting sexually inappropriate?
No,
Did you ever observe her drunk or out of control in any way?
no,
Did you ever observe her exhibit any anger or any violent demeanor at these
No.
after parties? Okay. You also mentioned, and I want to be clear as well, because we talked about several different meetings and a few different conventions. Has what you told me about the after parties and the after party at the second meeting of the convention, is that true of all the interactions you've had with Ms. Arias as it relates to these conventions and after parties?
yes,
We also talked about, you also were asked about the time you spent with her in your motorhome.
yes,
And this was not what we would necessarily call a professional setting. This wasn't a prepaid legal meeting or anything else.
No.
Right. Okay. Do you recall how she was dressed on those days?
yeah. She wore like slacks and like a turtleneck long sleeves.
And that was both days she wore long sleeves?
Yes,
Was that, to your recollection, if you can speak to it, was that appropriate for the weather or did it seem inappropriate for the weather in terms of the temperature in Vegas?
it was appropriate for the weather at the time.
Okay. Moment, Your Honor.
Yeah. What's this case about? This is a multi-level marketing
Questions from the jury
lawsuit,
for this
right?
witness, it looks like.
It's just nonsensical.
Hmm.
We do have one. Counsel, please approach.
Oh, jury question. By the
Can I
way, I have a new
No, you're
I have a new
requesting-
emoji. It's the baby burner phone. So if you're a member, you get access to the baby burner phone emoji now.
I think I also have. I think I have members only emojis, but they're all Viking related.
Yes.
Hmm.
I have one Viking thing. It's the red hat behind me with my horned hat. But otherwise, it's all based on trials.
Mm.
About pyramids and turtlenecks. Sounds about right.
Yeah, but now they can see her there with not exactly turtlenecky.
Dirk and Salvador want to give Jodi a hug.
Yep. Farrell, Chris, and Tweety started using my members only. So it is. Let's see here. What are
For those of you who are just joining us on this, the jury gets to ask questions. They write it down.
Mr.
They give it to
Searcy.
the judge.
A juror has,
The counsel's, the attorney's approach to make sure it's an appropriate question. And if it is, then the judge will read it to the witness as he is going to right now. And, or she's going to right now. Let's take a listen.
questions for you. To your knowledge, has Mr. Hughes ever helped any of the agents working under you?
No,
How many diamond members, executive directors, and lower members of your company are there? Total number for each group.
I couldn't guess the total number for each group. I would know there are a little over 450,000 total associates. I know there are about 1,500 executive directors and above, and I know there are about 250 ring earners. As to the rest, I would not have any idea.
You follow up, Mr. Nurmi?
Thank you, Your Honor. You mentioned approximately 1,500 executive directors. To your knowledge, was Mr. Alexander one of those?
Yes, he was.
That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Nothing, thank you. Any other questions from the jury for this witness? Thank you. You may step down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take the noon recess at this time. Please be back in the designated area at 1:25.
Okay, so we have a special little treat for you guys. Maybe it is.
Maybe.
Who wants to see some Nancy Grace?
Yeah.
If you do not want to see the horrible shrew that is Nancy Grace, I believe Nicholas requires some super chats.
Yeah. And you who are my members know this. $20 or we are watching Nancy Grace. Combined.
I muted myself. I said it's coming up, or else you guys are getting Nancy Grace.
A lot of people have asked, why do I travel all the way to Arizona? Number one, I don't like seeing the reputation of Travis Alexander dragged through the mud. And number two, I'm very interested in Jodi Arias and how she makes
my ears hurt.
I want to find out where she is.
See who can hold on longer.
Farrell, super chat, Nick, so we don't have to watch this horrible mess for
right now. You're kind of in the main hallway of the Estrella jail. This is where you get to anywhere you need to go. Visitation is behind us. We're now entering Bravo Tower, and that's where Jodi Arias is being housed right now.
So there goes a huge, I think, woman, and beside her is a god.
And open behind you. I mean, frankly, I don't know if I'm going to get out, but I know she's not going to get out. Now, where are we? What are we approaching right now? This is a kind of a guard.
Right. This is what we call a housing unit. This is a tower set up for us. So we have a tower in the middle that is in this housing unit, since there's close custody, is manned by 3 officers. We do security walks every 25 minutes, and when they're in the housing units, they have extra officers when they're with that custody level of inmate. However, Jodi Arias is not a close custody. She is a max. So you'll see one officer in there with her.
Okay, Chris Mullen.
All the corrections.
Hey, there we go.
$10. 10. Yeah. So it's only $10 until we stop with Nancy Grace.
We need $10 more. $10 more to stop Nancy Grace.
No, not necessarily. We do have male officers that work here. They are pretty much limited to towers. They can walk in the housing units. They're just not assigned to dormitories.
You guys got a super chat, Nicholas.
Digest that a moment. They're mostly limited to the towers.
There are mostly female staff here. However,
let's go, Brandon. $5. Okay, $5 more.
$5 more. They can work in a tower because they're not in their dormitory, which would be them disrobed at any one time. They might be disrobed in their cells. However, there's usually a door, and the officers are trained to just do this.
Okay, we're done. All
right.
Stop it. Hempland, Texas, Tampa.
Oh, that's awesome. That worked good.
I think it's over almost 2 months since I did this last time, and and I promised them this will be few and far in between when I do this, and I had no idea Nancy Grace was going to be on this day until David told me earlier.
So day 10 part 1 had this Nancy Grace thing afterwards, and we only had an hour. We're going to go into the rest of day 10 on another window, but I had to. I thought there'd be a good way. Thank you all that contributed to Nicholas's anti Nancy Grace fund. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat.
All of us are greatly appreciative.
Yeah. And Jingles is outside because we have been working out in the fields, and that brings out all the mice. So he's outdoors now, having the time of his life.
She's a porn. Wait, where is it? Wait. Oh, where was I? I was trying to pull up something. Oh. Yes, I agree. Nancy Grace is absolutely the worst. And for those of you who don't know, what stream were you on where someone brought up Nancy Grace and you asked who that was, and they were like, "Oh my God!"
I think it was Jeff's, and everybody was talking about, "Oh, Nancy Grace did this, did that," and I was just sitting there like looking like a question mark. Who's Nancy Grace? And everybody, "Oh, you need to see her." So I did.
I sent you a link, like clips of her, right? And
so I did a stream. Jesus Christ, I needed therapy after that one. And yes, let's go, Brandon. I will make more emojis for members.
So, all right. So we have the continuation of day 10. This is after lunch. I'm not sure. I would like to. This next witness is interesting. And it's apparently another male associate of Jodi Arias. And yeah, we'll just keep going. Oh, hey, I didn't even. I know you guys have been in here for a minute because I think I've seen you, but I didn't recognize you. Rabbit, awesome. Thank you for being here. Text Jen, thank you very much for being here. You guys are awesome. Coming to us straight from the expert, who I'm surprised is not here, but it is early. Well, no, it's not there. It's 1:30. Where's the expert? Where is he?
But he had, I think he had a stream after my stream yesterday, and I don't know how long that took.
It went to about 12:30 because I was on for a bit, and then Baker went on for a bit.
Okay.
And Captain Have Fun was in there the whole time, but I think it went to like 12:30. It wasn't that late.
Oh.
But he was invited to Baker's stream this morning, and he said it was too early, but it's 1:30 now.
Nancy Grace is USA stuff, and once I got to see that harpy, she was more famous 10 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, she's like the worst. She's like Dr. Phil, but worse. If you know Dr. Phil. Or like Gloria Allred, but with a camera. She's just horrible. I don't know how else to describe her except just go watch her. I mean, you saw a little bit of it where she's like, I am committed to Travis Alexander, but she's so sensational in everything that she does.
Yeah. I will see if I can find my Nancy Grace.
Yeah, drop a link. Drop a link to your stream on Nancy Grace, because this is Nicholas reacting to Nancy Grace for the first time ever. And I think at one point you stopped and laughed for like a full 10 minutes. It was great. So, all right, we'll keep going with the afternoon of day 10. Jodi Arias. Way too animated. Yeah, everything is just so it's like Mo in the Deep End, but not ironic. You know, Mo plays a character where she does it ironically, but Nancy Grace doesn't. It's so sincere, it's stupid. Here we go. Yeah, so the link is in Nicholas's chat. I'll try to grab it and put it in mine.
Yeah, I'm... And there. Now you have it in your chat as well.
Cool. I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to drop a link. Oh, you put it in mine already. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I love that intro, by the way. I think that was the first time you used that new intro.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it from Fiverr for just over $80, I think.
Nice.
But that included intro, outro in a few different versions.
Yeah.
So it was quite...
Speaking of, I am looking for a website developer that can help me on the back end, the back door of my website a little bit. I have somebody, but she's extremely busy, and I don't want to wait like 4 weeks to get stuff done when I ask her to do something.
Yes, everybody. David needs help with his back end. So
I need help with my back end. If you know anybody who's experienced in the back end area. She does mediation, by the way, now, this judge. So she still has an office. She has an office number. She has an email. I can contact her, and I'm going to. All right, jury's coming in.
Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. The defense may call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense called Daryl Brewer.
People are volunteering Jodi to help you with your back.
Don't know if she has the resources available. Do .NET programming. I don't know what that means. Essentially, what I want is Michigan Law Show. We need to change the name, by the way. It's MLS now Law Show. Has a website, and I want to register MLSLawShow.com as well. And then I want them to be linked together. I don't want to recreate my website, but I want to change all the banners to MLS Law Show. And then I want all of my streams, all of my videos, everything to automatically upload to it. And I want it to be somewhat organized. So that's what I need done. So if anyone out there knows how to do it or knows someone who knows how to do it, it's not charity. I'm looking to pay somebody. I just need someone who can actually has the time to do it. Tatiana, welcome.
Hey. Hi, Tatiana.
Hello from MLS Stream. She's over in your chat now.
Yeah.
Well, Monty, you came over from what? Laid Back News? Is that where you saw me? But welcome.
Hempland is wondering if backend is the same as a bonus hole.
To be sworn.
I believe it is. I believe they are identified as the same.
Hey, Valhalla and Baker.
Can you spell your first and last name, please?
Yes, Darryl.
Yeah, so it's Michigan Law Show at the moment.
WER.
For all of those who are new, I started my channel as the Michigan Law Show, and then we did the Law Show, and we did the Landlord Tenant Show, and then we did like all these other like little sub channels. And then I shortened it to MLS when I started doing non-Michigan related stuff. And now I'm looking for a new name that MLS would fit into. So we were talking about someone said making law sexy, but we're looking at maybe potentially making litigation simple, because my idea here is to explain everything to people so they know what's going on in sort of layman's terms. So making litigation simple or something along those lines. That's what we're playing with. That idea.
Raise your right hand.
And originally I was Niklas Star of Union Rep Labor Law, but then about 3 months ago, I went to about Niklas Starov's Trial Watch. And I have to have the entire sentence because Trial Watch is, as 2 words, is, I think it is trademarked.
Trial Watch is trademarked?
Yeah, by, who's that guy? The actor who is married to a big-time female lawyer.
I don't pay attention to actors' names or who they are. I just
but
want them to dance for me on screen.
He was in From Dusk to Dawn. Who is that? Who is his name again?
Oh God, I have no idea. Chat's probably going to know.
He's married to a quite a famous lawyer who does do human rights work. So George Clooney. Yeah. So his company trademarked Trial Watch. So
you could probably challenge that if you had the time and energy, because I don't feel like you could.
Yeah, but it's only trademarked in the United States, and I'm working out of Sweden, so I'm getting away with it. It's not trademarked because this you see up there on the corner, that's my trademark image. So that is trademarked.
Cool. Yeah. I have nothing trademarked yet. But my company is registered, if that counts. Actually, and so the thing with trademark and copyright and all that stuff is you don't necessarily have to register it so long as you challenge anybody who uses it. It's kind of interesting.
But the truth to help you, God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So please walk right around here and have a seat.
Yeah, Trial Watch has been trademarked through Clooney's foundation.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I kept saying Michigan Law School.
Sir, could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Daryl Brewer.
And Daryl, where do you live?
I live in Carmel, California.
And are you single, married, divorced?
I am divorced.
Okay.
What's his name?
And Mr. Brewer, how old are you?
I'm
Mr.
52.
Brewer? I'm sorry, I didn't catch his name. Anybody catch it in chat? Or else I want to back it up because I kind of want to know who this guy's name is. Anyone? Anyone? Going once?
And
All right, let's back up.
Sir, could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Daryl Brewer.
Daryl Brewer.
Daryl,
That's
where do you
it.
live?
Okay.
Oh,
I live in
that's
Carmel, California.
oh, that's the actual boyfriend.
And are you single,
Yeah.
married, divorced?
I am divorced.
He was the older
And
guy.
Mr. Brewer, how old are you?
I'm 52.
And do you have any children?
Yes, I have one son,
Okay, and how old is your son?
14.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's
Do you know this
apparently
lady
he
here?
still wants her back.
Yes.
How do you know her?
I know Jodi because we were in love.
He's one of the boyfriends that survived.
Step back a little bit.
That's
When we
right.
talk
All my
about
exes are alive.
When you met her. You recall that?
Make sure this is volume
Yes,
is
I
up.
met Jodi in the fall of 2001.
Okay. Could you describe for all of us the circumstances of how you met Jodi?
Yes, I was employed as food and beverage director at Ventana Inn and Spa in Big Sur.
Okay.
Let me
not
give.
sure
I want to
he's
give you
back.
guys a little insider baseball because I've been reading the book. So the prosecutor talks a lot about the gas cans and the gas receipts, and he did all the math and he calculated it out. He said, well, if she could have driven from here to there to his place, and with the gas cans that she had and looking how much she filled up through various transactions and stuff, she would have had enough gas in those cans that she wouldn't have had to stop for gas in Arizona. And so this is his theory on why she got all these gas cans. And he doesn't tell his investigating officer, the guy sitting next to him, the one that keeps getting called up to the stand over and over, because he doesn't want his investigating officer to put it into a report that could potentially be discoverable. So the first time anybody, the defense or even the prosecutor's own investigator, hears about this whole gas can argument is right now during this testimony.
Oh.
And his investigator is apparently not happy about it, because when he gets done, he goes back to the table and he's like, what the hell about these gas cans? You didn't tell me about any of this. So I thought that was interesting.
And Jodi came as an applicant applying for a job as a server.
And how did she present herself during her interview with you?
Outstanding. She was on time. She interviewed well. She was
Nope.
dressed
It's called
appropriately.
trial strategy, Salvador. And that is
And
very clever.
Did you hire Miss Arias at that point in time?
Yes.
And you said at that point in time you were a food and beverage manager. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Nobody knows the gas
And,
cans are even a
how long
thing
had you
right
worked
now.
at Ventana prior to that time?
Just about a year.
This has to be
Why don't you do us a favor
revealed
and back
during
up a little
cross,
bit and describe
not
Ventana?
through defense, right?
Oh yeah, this is defense. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, and that was the other thing too, is the prosecutor never called this witness, and he was really concerned that the defense wouldn't, but he thought for sure, because he was named and something in the pretrial, I can't remember what it was. He was like, I think they're going to call him. I'm certain they're going to call him. So I'm not going to call him. I'm not going to give them the opportunity during their case in chief to mitigate this. I want to do it on cross when they call him.
Oh.
And so he was really gambling heavy. And this is pure trial strategy. And this is a beautiful gamble that paid off. And it's, from what I read in the book, it turned out really good. So I'm curious to see.
Well,
this
she was convicted, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it worked, right? No, but I just want to kind of see the dynamics of this.
And what you did there.
Yes, Ventana is a 63-room boutique hotel on the Big Sur coast with wedding and banquet facilities and restaurants. And I was hired as the food and beverage manager to run the food and beverage operation.
And the food and beverage operation, is that just a restaurant or is it more extensive than that?
It consists of managing the restaurant.
I don't
room
know,
service,
Salvador.
Banquets, cafe, associated duties with food and beverage being offered on the property.
Okay. And what position specifically?
Rabbit, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. And thank you, Valhalla, for letting me know, since I don't see those in StreamYard. Maddit Finn, Pixie78, Christine Fortunio. Christine, you've been a member. Midnight Prayer, Regina King, all got gifted memberships. Thanks to Rabbit. Thank you very much for that. That's awesome.
Specifically, because I don't think we were clear, what position was she applying and ultimately hired for?
The position of server.
Okay. And is there more than one restaurant in your in the resort, or is it just the one?
There's one main restaurant, and there's also breakfast service at the inn itself.
Okay.
So
And so we're clear, this was this at the main restaurant or the?
this is the main restaurant.
Okay. And you described it as high-end, correct?
Yes, it's rather, it was voted a 4-star resort by a mobile travel guide for many, many years.
Okay. So in order for somebody to get hired, you would be particularly concerned about how they would present themselves or how they would act. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Now, at the point in time you hired Ms. Arias, I would take it to understand that you would be a supervisor to her. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yes,
And to further clarify for everyone, were you her direct supervisor? Were there restaurant managers? How did that work?
Jodi was under my direct supervision. There were other managers involved.
Okay. During your time period, and how after you hired Jodi, how long did you remain as the food and beverage manager?
Bye, Glenda. We'll see you later.
Approximately a year.
Okay. So you were her supervisor for about a year?
Yes.
Okay. And did the resort, Ventana, did they have any policies in terms of reviewing a person's work, annual evaluations, semi-annual evaluations, anything of that nature?
Yes, they did. It started off with a 90-day probation with an evaluation at 90 days. And at that point, the employee was either kept or let go.
Okay.
And then from then on, it was annual evaluations.
Okay. Tell us, did Jodi survive, I guess it would be the right term, that 90-day evaluation period?
Yes,
She was doing well as an employee?
she was excelling, yes.
Okay. And in assessing that, it sounds like you worked with her on a daily or near daily basis. Is that accurate on my part?
That is accurate, almost daily.
Almost daily. Okay. And you were her supervisor again for about a year in total, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And in that time, was there any disciplinary problems, any behavioral problems, anything of that nature where she was inappropriate with customers or anything like that?
No,
Okay. Now, at this point in time, were you dating Miss Arias?
no.
Okay, here we go.
When did you talked about after about a year, you weren't her supervisor anymore. So
That's on yours.
Yeah.
Take a drink. Oh, by the way, as a public service announcement, I have absolutely zero alcohol in my house. I appreciate anyone who wants to give me a super chat, but I have literally nothing to drink. So please don't send it my way because you'll be disappointed.
Oh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh,
That was a big one.
and it begins. We have another hour and a half to go. Keep them coming, people.
describe for us what happened within your job.
Thank you
or her
so
job
much,
that changed her status.
D-Watt. Thank you.
Who's D-Watt? Do I know D-Watt? I feel like I've seen the name before.
Yeah, I've seen, he has been in my chat a few times. Okay. But I think that, I think he super chatted me as well before, but only that. And again, I would prefer if you did that to on Zachariah Anderson's defense fund. But you know what? I'm going to count that as a $50 shot, and I will count one $50 for Friday. So all you have to do then is $150 to the Zachariah Anderson fund on Friday, and that's the free shot. Okay.
I see. D-Watt is part of the Ricada crowd. He's been around for a bit.
Oh.
Cool. Well, welcome. I don't know if I've caught your name before, but
tell Ricada to have me on sometime.
I might be on Monday if he's covering Shib Business. Him and I have been DMing.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
As a supervisor.
We had changes in our management and other positions that affect my job. And I made the decision to step out of my management job and did so.
Okay. And just backing up a bit, your son, how old was your son when you worked at Ventana?
I started,
I should say.
A year and a half when I started.
Okay. And were you divorced at this time?
I was.
Okay. Now you mentioned there was a shift in the management structure at Ventana. You were no longer Jodi's boss after that shift. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Did you have a new job title? Could you just kind of describe that for us?
Yes, I was working as a server in banquets and helping with the weddings.
Okay. So you were then you went from a supervisor of Jodi's to a coworker? Is that?
Yes.
And up until that point in time, there had been no romantic relationship at all?
Correct.
Okay. Did that romantic relationship then evolve when you were coworkers?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Tell us about that.
We began to spend a little more time together. Our relationship was not supervisor-employee anymore, and became infatuated and fell in love.
Okay. Well, you said a lot there, so let's kind of break that down a little bit. Were you living at the resort or just working there?
I was living in the staff housing at the resort,
Okay.
yes.
And to your recollection, was Miss Arias also living in that staff housing?
She was also living in staff housing.
Okay. So you begin to spend your off hours together and you're working together and you're falling in love.
Correct.
Okay. Tell us about who Jodi was at that point in time.
Jodi was a very responsible, caring, loving person.
And she knew of your son?
She did know.
Thank you very much, Rabbit, for the super chat. You do not have to drink to get a super chat. I just like your content. Thank you very much. Yes, I agree.
The previous Nancy Grace link was just for the 3-minute short version. I'm posting the entire stream here. It's an hour and a half long. That's back when I was union rep labor law, just so you know.
How long a period of time did you date Miss Arias altogether?
Just about 4 years.
Okay. And it began when you moved yourself down to, when you were moved down to a server position, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you two lived in the employee housing. How long did you remain there?
I was in staff housing until sometime in 2003 when I moved to Monterey.
Okay. And when you moved to Monterey, how far is the Ventana Resort from Monterey?
It's about 32 miles.
Okay. Is this resort, Ventana, is this kind of seasonal work, or has a peak season, or is it one of these type resorts, or is it an all year round?
It is open year round and does peak in the summer season.
Okay. Could you explain to us then why you decided to move to Monterey?
I wanted to be out of the staff housing situation. It's not the best housing. And,
okay. All right. And did Jodi move with you, or how did that? Tell us about that.
Jodi did not move with me. She lived in the staff housing at Ventana, separate from me, separate houses. I moved back to town to Monterey, and Jodi remained in staff housing.
Okay. Did the relationship continue after you moved?
It did.
Okay. And how often would you see each other?
I would have to say 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay. And was there a point in time,
I'm not sure
whether
why
it was before or after you moved to Monterey, that you were boyfriend and girlfriend or an exclusive relationship? How would you, or if you had a definition of that type?
Our relationship, I would say, was boyfriend and girlfriend, and I would say that it was exclusive.
Okay. And when do you think that, was that right away? Was that after you moved? When did that kind of come about?
Before I moved to town and continued on after.
Okay. Was there any point in time when you and Miss Arias came to live together?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about how that situation arose and where you were in your relationship when that decision was made.
The decision was made to live together when we purchased a house together.
Okay. And when was that?
That was in 2005.
Okay. And was that in Monterey or was that somewhere else?
That was in Palm Desert, California.
And why was the two of you made a decision to purchase a home together?
We did.
Okay. And how did that work? Were you both on the mortgage?
We were.
Okay. And so it was a pretty stable relationship at that point in time?
Very much so.
Okay. And the home you purchased, you said Palm Desert. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why Palm Desert as opposed to Monterey? Was there any particular reason?
The mother of my son had plans to remarry and move to that area. And so I chose to be in that area because of my son.
Okay. And if I'm following right, at the time you purchased the home, your son would have been about 4 or 5?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the custodial situation between you and your ex-wife?
We shared custody.
Okay. So in terms of this home you were purchasing with Miss Arias, it was going to include, your son was going to live there as well, at least part of the time. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. How did you come to the point where you felt
Or rather
like it
a
was
big
okay
knife,
for that situation to
Marissa.
introduce your son
He
to
dodged a big
Jodi?
knife.
Tell us about that a little bit, maybe, and explain why you felt it was okay to introduce him and then ultimately have the three of you live together.
After my divorce, after my separation, I should say, I was not divorced in 2000. It was a little while after that, the paperwork was official, but I was separated, moved away, and we were, for all intents and purposes, divorced. And I was very wary about bringing anyone around my son. I was in a position where I shared custody with his mother, and that meant that I was a part-time with my son, and that time was very valuable to me. And so I made a choice to not introduce other people. I wasn't dating before Jodi.
Okay.
And so Jodi met my son slowly and gradually. By the time we moved in together, Jodi lived with us, and I lived with Jodi, and my son lived with us part-time.
Okay. And how was Jodi's relationship with your son?
It was outstanding.
You know, D, what Nick might be the Pope, but I'm Lutheran. Just saying.
Were they close?
They were close.
Did they spend time together on their own?
They did. There were a few occasions where they were together on their own.
Okay. And did you also go out, the three of you doing events together, going to places together?
We did.
Okay. I know you weren't married to Jodi, but was she serving as kind of a stepmother role to your son at that point in time?
I would not describe it as a stepmother role at all.
Okay.
A friendly role, a friend to Jack is how I would describe it.
Okay. This home you purchased in Palm Desert, when was this home purchased?
This was in June of 2005.
Okay.
Yes.
And I mentioned the both of you being on the mortgage.
Nicholas,
you weren't
the
married, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were there plans for that? What was the status of the relationship when the two of you bought a home together?
When the two of us bought a home together, we were boyfriend, girlfriend, homeowners together. Plans for marriage, I could not say that I had planned to get married or not. I was unsure.
Okay. You'd been together, excuse me, with Miss Arias for a few years at the point in time that you purchased a home, right?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of the subject of marriage, was that?
I have funny hats, but I
discussed
can
between
never
you and
compete
Jodi?
with Nick Requeda.
It was occasionally.
I love his Pope hat.
I can't
It's
tell you
awesome.
how often, not very
Yeah.
often. She knew that I was coming out of a divorce, and I was not ready to be married again.
Okay. And that was was that something that was discussed early on in the relationship, or was that something that came up later?
I would have to say somewhat later.
Okay. And that was about you, not Jodi, right?
Absolutely.
They bought it as an
And
investment.
you must have been very happy in the relationship at the point in time when you were buying this house. Is that fair to say?
I was indeed.
Okay. In terms of this
I
contract,
think she got
this
bored with him.
mortgage, was there a particular plan in terms of you're gonna
Probably.
live there the rest of your lives? You're gonna live there for a
No,
few years? Was
I
that
can't
less?
talk
Plan was
for
somewhat uncertain,
women,
revolving
talk about
around,
all women who dresses conservatively and stuff like that. But I did have a relationship with a Northern Irish Catholic girl, and she was very modest, very nicely dressed, everything she was supposed to, until the lights were off, went off.
Isn't that like most Catholics?
Yeah, then she more or less tore my clothes off once the lights were off. And
Catholic by day, sinner by night, right?
yeah, and then very remorseful in the morning, and yeah, that was fun.
But no, so this guy's 55, right? He's in his late 40s when they're dating. They buy a house together. He's stable.
Yeah.
And then she often runs off with Travis because this is the guy she broke up with to go with Travis. We'll see.
Son, we had hoped to stay in the house for a minimum of at least 2 years. We weren't in the process of flipping houses. We wanted to.
I don't know if there is
establish
a
the home and
question
possibly
or a
resell it.
verdict. I think
Okay.
there's a question
So,
in the Melly trial.
Was this part business venture, part home, if shall we say? I mean, a home to live in, but also a business venture?
Not a formal business venture, a personal business venture. I mean, it was a home, but we also
Okay, there's a new question. Okay.
Gain from it at some point.
Okay. And do you recall the amount of the mortgage on the home? The monthly mortgage?
The monthly payments were somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,700, $1,800.
Okay.
Jesus
and
Christ.
Was that something that was that amount?
I don't even pay that.
Split that down the middle?
That was years ago.
Okay. And was that something that was difficult for you to pay your halves of the mortgage? Was that a strain or?
No, we were able to accomplish it.
Okay. And where were you working at the time that you purchased the house? Were you still at Ventana?
No, I had left Ventana and left my other employment in Monterey. At the time of the home purchase, I was looking for work in Palm Desert.
Okay. And where was
we
Jodi
have a picture of
working,
this witness with Jodi.
Jodi was working at the California Pizza Kitchen in Monterey, and then also in Palm Desert when we moved.
Okay.
All right, let's pull this guy's face up, because why not? That's what we're about here. That is Jodi with him.
Doesn't he host American Idol or something?
I was going to say he looks like he should be hosting aerobics, the aerobics competition from 1986.
That's Simon Cantwell. What's his name? We just passed 2 hours, by the way.
Okay. Right, good. We're safe now. But yeah, so that's what he looked like then. I don't know. Is that a?
But they must have met when she was early to mid-20s and he was mid-40s.
Do they look like father and daughter to you?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a little.
Yeah,
gross.
exactly. So Simon Cornhole.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like the God, what's his name? His son has a somewhat successful music career, does Blurred Lines. Alan Thicke. That's what I was thinking of. Alan Thicke. That's what first popped into my head. He died. May he rest in peace. But that's what I keep thinking of, is Alan Thicke. Oh, so that was them.
And I just want to clarify, when you purchased the home, did she have 2 jobs, or was this just a matter of moving? You mentioned a couple jobs, so I was a little confused.
I'm sorry. When we moved to Palm Desert, she started working at the California Pizza Kitchen and then eventually got a second job.
Okay. And do you recall where that second job was?
At a restaurant called Quisto.
Okay. So she was working 2 jobs, and you were looking for work, correct?
Correct.
At this point in time. And Jack was living with you on a part-time basis, right?
Correct.
Okay. Was there a point in time where Jodi was paying the whole mortgage, or how did that work with you not working?
I got a job and went to work within 2.5 months.
Okay.
And was able to support my share until then.
Okay. And the relationship was still happy at this point in time?
Very much so.
Okay.
There's nothing better than waking up to Baker, by the way.
And refresh me again, when did you sign off on the mortgage of this home?
Late May, early June, 2005.
Okay, 2005. So how long did the 2 of you live in this home?
We lived in that home until December of 2006.
Okay. And how many rooms were in the home?
3 bedrooms.
Okay, 3 bedrooms. Did you and Miss Arias share a bedroom, or did you have separate bedrooms?
We had separate bedrooms and shared a bedroom quite often.
Okay. Was there a reason for the separate? Was that just for appearances for Jack, or?
It wasn't for appearances. It was a matter of the amount of things we had.
Okay.
Beds, dressers, etc.
Okay. I want to fast forward a little bit to your life in 2006, in the summer of 2006. What was going on in the summer of 2006? Were you still living with Jodi?
I was.
Okay. At this point in time, it seems to me like you'd have been in the relationship 3.5 years. Is that about right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that a yes? The court reporter
Yes.
needs to hear yes or no. Thank you. At this point in time, was there, or had there been more discussion about marriage?
No.
Okay. You were still in love with Jodi?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, she was still in love with you?
Yes.
Okay. During this point in time, during the point in time of your relationship up to the summer of 2006, did you ever see Jodi act jealous towards women that you came in contact with?
No.
When you first met her at Ventana, or first began dating her, I should say, when you were working at Ventana. I would suspect there was a lot of females at the workplace there as well.
Certainly.
Okay. Majority would.
Wait, what do we have on Melly? Do we have a verdict? I was watching. I don't know what they got going on.
Did you say? Of the workforce?
Was the majority of the workforce female?
Yes.
I couldn't say.
Okay. But during that time period, did Jodi ever act jealous at all?
Not that I saw.
Okay. Did you ever notice her being violent or having a violent temper?
Did they?
Yeah, mistrial in Melly trial. They
Right.
are deadlocked.
Fun for them.
Yep.
Do you remember a point in time when Jodi became involved in prepaid legal?
Yeah, no, Jodi, you said it when it
You
happened.
remember
I
about
was a
when
few
that
minutes
was?
behind because my stream
say
wasn't
2006.
updating.
March, April.
Okay.
I was distracted. Sorry.
And tell us about what you knew about her involvement in prepaid
Apparently.
legal. How did it begin
Yep,
to your
I pulled
knowledge?
it up. Mistrial.
I don't recall how Jodi learned about it,
Okay.
but she did share it with me, and it was exciting.
Okay. Do you remember her going to Las Vegas to a convention?
I do.
Mistrial, David. Does he get home, or can
this
they?
point-
Because mistrial means that they can charge him again, and then make a do-over. But does he necessarily go
it's-
home, or can they still have this?
The state can make a motion to hold. I'm assuming there's bond conditions. So I don't know what the bond conditions are. I don't know if he's being held or whatever. But whatever those bond conditions are, the state can make a motion to maintain the bond conditions for a certain number of days or something like that, so that they can refile, and the court could give them a limited date in order to refile. Like, all right, well, you refile in the next couple of days, we'll maintain bond conditions, but otherwise we're going to be back here Monday morning if you don't refile, or something like that. That's probably what I would expect. Usually it's going to be a very short amount of time, though.
They deliberated for a grand total of 14 hours.
Yeah, 14 hours.
Yeah.
Which I believe after 14 hours, you're either there or you're not.
Yeah, but they were there after 3 hours. They sent a message to the judge. There are two camps. What happens if we are deadlocked?
Yeah.
And
just
for me, that, yeah.
No, go ahead.
No. No.
I was just going to explain the bond procedures more. So when you have a complaint filed against you, a criminal complaint filed against you, part of what the state can ask for are certain bond conditions. Now, what we hear about often on these bigger cases is the people have been locked up for 2 or 3 years because they can't afford bond because it's $2 million. The vast majority of people are left to their own recognizance. It's called a PR bond in Michigan. Personal recognizances. But if you don't show, then you have to pay some money. Otherwise, you're going to go in jail if you don't show for court or something like that. Most people are held like that. But when the case is dismissed, as it is with a mistrial, the orders that contain the bond conditions are all gone. And until the state files a new charge, technically, there's no bond order. So in theory, he should be let out. But the courts will say, all right, prosecutor, if you're going to bring a retrial or new charges because this was a mistrial within like the next 24 hours, we'll hold over the bond conditions essentially until you get a chance to refile everything, or in the next couple of hours or something like that. It's a very short amount of time because technically there's really no order, there's no case in place. So hopefully that helps explain things.
Get a good sense here. Was she still working the 2 jobs?
Prior to going to convention. She was still working 2 jobs, as far as I knew, up until some point in the fall of 2006.
Okay. And what happened? You mentioned the fall of 2006. What happened in the fall of 2006?
In the fall of 2006, the mother of my son decided to move back to Monterey. and took my son as well. And he started school in Pacific Grove in the fall of 2006.
Okay. To kind of help us understand everything you mentioned, Palm Desert and Monterey, and it seems like we've gone back and forth a couple of times. How far away is Monterey from Palm Desert?
9 to 10 hour drive.
Okay.
Several hundred miles.
Okay. So you mentioned that your ex-wife is going to move 9 hours away to Monterey, and were you going to follow Jack, or can you kind of explain that to us, what was going on with you?
Yes, I was going to follow Jack, and I began a strategy of how to get back to Monterey.
Okay. And talk to us a little bit about that strategy, if you will.
The strategy was that I was trying to find work, and as soon as I found work, I was going to move back to Monterey and continue to support the household and pay the mortgage in Palm Desert.
Okay. So was the plan for Jodi to move with you back to Monterey, or what about the dynamics of your relationship with Ms. Arias?
We had not planned per se for her to move back. My hope was that she would remain in the home until we could come to a resolution, until we could sell the house.
Okay. In terms of the relationship at this point in time, was it, were you breaking up? Was it going to be a long distance relationship? What were the discussions about your relationship with Ms. Arias?
Let's see, the relationship was slowly deteriorating over the summer of 2006. By the fall, Jodi had, we were still together in the home, but it was becoming clear that I was moving back to Monterey and that we would not be living together.
Okay. So you're saying at this point in time, things were kind of coming to a natural end. Is that what you're telling us?
I don't know how natural it was. I saw a lot of changes in Jodi. She became a bit of a different person than I had known previously.
Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit. You said she became a different person than you'd known previously. Can you explain to us what you meant by that, or what you mean by that?
What I mean is that she got more involved with prepaid legal. She became less responsible to the household bills. I think that she had thoughts of succeeding in prepaid legal and being able to support herself through those efforts. And it didn't quite seem to be the case.
Okay. Let's break that down a little bit. You said a lot. Was she still working the 2 jobs at the Pizza Kitchen and Croissant? I think that's how I say it. Was she still working those 2 jobs, or did prepaid legal become the primary focus?
I believe that prepaid legal became a primary focus, and she did continue to work the 2 jobs.
She did or did not?
She did until some point, as far as I know, in the summer of 2006.
Okay. And in the fall of 2006 as well, at this point in time, you're living in Monterey?
I'm living in the desert in the fall of 2006 and trying to get back to Monterey.
Okay, trying to get back to Monterey. You're not there yet. And this $1,800 a month mortgage, was that right? Was it still that at that point in time?
It was the same. It might have been slightly more than that, but it was the same the whole time. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was she paying her half of the mortgage and still fulfilling her end of the obligation?
In the fall of 2006, she had continued to pay the mortgage. She was not paying other household bills, and it looked like she was becoming maybe getting into debt or into financial trouble. She continued to pay the mortgage into the fall of 2006, and then was unable to do so after that.
Okay. And that was a change in Jodi as well, because prior to that, she had paid all the bills, worked the jobs, and kept up.
Sure,
on
you
her
can, Brandon.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you said it appeared to you that
99
she
out
was
instead of
putting all
1
her
in the
faith,
slammer.
if you will, into
Instead of 1
prepaid legal.
innocent in the slammer.
Yes,
That
yes.
is the principle.
And describe what you mean by that. I mean, was she just thinking she was going to be immediately prosperous? How to kind of describe for us the things?
I think she thought she was going to be prosperous, maybe not immediately, but very shortly. And for me, it seemed to me like she was not as rational and not as logical as she was prior. That there was almost a magical thinking that if we only believed and worked hard enough, that the prepaid legal was going to come through.
Okay. As far as her spirituality, could you describe for us your understanding of her spirituality? Say, for example, not maybe when you met her as an employer, but as you began dating, did you begin to learn about that?
Yes, I learned that Jodi was spiritual and that she had a belief in God, and that I would have to classify it as just non-denominational Christian from what I knew.
Okay. And moving back to that time period in 2006, in the fall of 2006, did that change?
Nancy Grace's take on
That did
this.
change, actually. Jodi,
No,
we had
I
discussed
really don't.
spirituality in the
But she
past.
must be
We were not
furious
actively
because
religious.
she's been outspoken
Jodi
about
did
this.
become more actively religious in the fall of 2006.
Okay. And to your knowledge, what church or denomination did she become involved with?
The Church of Mormon.
And did you, how did you become aware of this? I mean, did she tell you this? Were there visitors to the home? How did that work?
She did mention it, and she mentioned that she was studying it. There were visitors to the home. There were prayer sessions in our home. And
oh yeah, what happens to the snitch in the Melly trial? You got a deal.
Did that?
Isn't that depending on getting a conviction out of it?
Maybe indeed at that time.
Not necessarily. No, that would be really hard. That would be bad. To cut a deal where you got to get a conviction out of it. You just have to testify, right? You have to cooperate and testify.
Let's go, Brandon says a good thing. I think they will try the other guy first, because if they manage to convict him for assisting in or anything, then they can use that in the next trial. We have a conviction, and he said this and this and this. Yeah. Because if you have a conviction in the background, all of a sudden you have new facts to present.
Wait,
to a
there's a
jury.
mistrial in the Melly case?
Melly, yeah.
We had stopped being intimate, and Jodi had told me that she was saving herself for her husband.
And so then the sleeping arrangements were the separate bedrooms.
Yes,
indeed they were.
Yes, Brandon, it was a mistrial, not an acquittal.
You had an intimate relationship with Miss Arias.
Yes, absolutely.
When did that intimate relationship begin?
But for me, I expected a 2 to 4 hour. Let's vote. Let's have dinner. Let's get back. Let's write the forms, and we're done with it.
Double jeopardy does not attach into a mistrial. It doesn't. Not a mistrial. It's a hung jury. It's not a mistrial. Well, I mean, a mistrial is declared because of a hung jury.
Yeah.
But it's not because of like prosecutorial misconduct or anything like that. So double jeopardy doesn't attach.
2002, after I had left my position at Ventana.
Okay. And it ended in fall of 2006 when she became involved in prepaid legal and the Mormon Church. Is that correct?
I just want to do one other thing here, just to troll Farrell a little bit. Farrell says this after she says this.
She had been involved in prepaid legal months before, but that did become the case in the fall.
Okay. Yes. A moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
These visitors to the home that you mentioned, did they start showing up before or after this convention?
Before.
I don't understand the point of calling this guy and talking about all of this stuff.
In fall of 2006.
Well, okay.
Were you aware of her becoming involved in a relationship with Travis Alexander?
No.
I mean, she essentially cheated on him.
How did your
doesn't make her look
relationship ultimately end? We were at a point where we were in separate bedrooms.
He brainwashed her,
and you were looking to move to Monterey. How did the relationship end?
At that point, I found employment in Monterey, and I moved late in December, and we parted at that point. And I didn't feel that the relationship had ended, but it definitely changed.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, say parted.
Roseman, welcome for a moment.
Broke up, per se? Was there a breakup conversation?
There wasn't a formal breakup conversation as much as I think we both saw our paths going the other way. I was hoping that Jodi would be back with me after resolving the house issue, but it was an unsure time. It was left open.
Okay.
It's like 4 years, 3.5 years.
Clinging on to you, trying to go to Monterey with you, anything of that nature?
At that time, no.
And so you eventually moved back to Monterey, and what became
and the Mormon Church
of the house?
The house eventually foreclosed in the following year. I was unable to support it past February of 2007.
Okay. After you moved to Monterey and the house went into foreclosure, What was your relationship with
this
Jodi
gold
like
digger
during
angle?
that time period?
How much money did Jodi think Travis had if she left this older guy buying a house? I mean,
well, even the prosecution points out that Travis oversold his earnings, like the impression of his earnings, and that in reality he was financially struggling. And so,
yeah.
But if everyone else thought he was doing great, then maybe she also did too.
Yeah.
If there was any relationship.
I would have to say at that time, the relationship was nothing but an occasional phone call. We were not romantically involved, obviously, and I had learned that she had left the house and moved to the
2007 was
Arizona
the
area.
peak of the housing collapse as well, yeah.
And so you remain friends on good terms?
She didn't want to be drawn down with
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. No further questions at this
old
time.
guy.
Cross-examination.
Sir, you indicated that you moved from the Palm Desert home back to California in December of 2006, right?
Yes, sir.
And when you moved back.
Wait a minute. I forgot. We've been going now for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Do we want to stop here and then pick it up again on Tuesday?
Yeah, I think so.
We'll do that. I forgot we were going to stop after direct of this guy. So,
I'm not sure. Yeah,
I'm liking the cross. The cross is highly entertaining, although I don't think it's relevant. And he's, just an angry little elf running around. But it's definitely interesting. I don't know where the defense is going with these two witnesses because they don't seem to be tying anything together just yet. But I'm hoping their idea that Jodi is an innocent little kind-hearted person and she was sort of brainwashed or drawn in by Travis and then he was abusive is where they're going. I think that's their argument.
Yeah, and they are probably going with the self-defense, but that's kind of hard to. That will be a hard sell after their police interviews.
And nothing makes a girl angry to find out that your sugar daddy is a broke baby. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, So this is an interesting start to the cross. I don't know who our next witness is going to be. I don't remember what order they're calling everything, except I do know that Jodi's not last. So we have this witness to finish up, and then we have day 11 we'll get into on Tuesday. Which, Nicholas, you said you might not be here for Tuesday?
No, I got a brand new caseload on my lap on Thursday, so I need, It's one
so
of
maybe
these,
Natalie or someone else wants to join me.
Yeah.
We'll see. Still not convinced she did it big.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm going to do Melly because I don't know enough of it.
Yeah, okay.
That's my simple answer. So on my channel, I'm going to redirect you to Dali, Sal, because he will be doing a trial, a rewatch of a 2008 trial.
Where a man drew pictures of his, he drew pictures of units, we'll say peens, that he thought his wife might be interested in. Those were admitted into evidence in all shapes and sizes. That's the trial that Salvador is covering because, of course, it's Salvador.
Mark Dick Pick Jensen, and that starts in half an hour. But I think if we close down here, we'll push it up because I think I've seen.
Yeah, I just did the redirect, so everyone's going to get redirected from my channel over to Salvador as well. And I don't see him in the chat, so he's probably going with his stream.
So you're going from a trial with in to out.
I'm going to see all the parts of the human anatomy today.
Yeah. Yesterday he told me that this guy had over 800 dick pics or dick drawings, and he categorized it in size, all of them,
in shape, and like really, really detailed, like head size and like all this stuff. All these drawings. It's just why?
Yeah. So I'm going to watch that. Sorry, I'm going to watch that, and tomorrow, no.
So that I haven't been following the case too long, but from what I understand, he killed his wife because she was having an affair. He thought or knew that she was having an affair, and then he started drawing these things about like what size and shape did his wife want or something, and I might be completely wrong.
Yeah,
but the idea is that
he started attaching them to his car and then show it to her wife. What's going on here?
Yeah, why am I getting drawings of these massive units? Are you seeing somebody or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
So I'm going to watch Sal talking about dick pics. Yeah, I mean, what's not to enjoy looking at Sal describing this case? I mean, that
he was gaslighting her. Yeah, I mean, it was really weird. It was definitely some odd behavior by him, and to draw them out and then to have his drawings admitted in trial was just awesome.
Yeah, so Sal, go over and start your stream, and so we can redirect directly into your stream.
Yes, midnight prayer. We got the word on that, by the way, on the Millie case.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we got the word. And
does he have vag drawings as well? That's gonna be awesome.
Oh, I need to watch this trial at Sal's. And go over to Sal, subscribe to him, and yeah, you know everything about it.
Polaroids. That's awesome. In a binder.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right, Valhalla? I agree with you. There's no better way to spend your Saturday than watching Sal discuss these things. Oh, yeah. And if you are a member, by the way, if you're a new member, I know some of you were gifted memberships during my stream. There is a membership tab on my YouTube channel, and there's a link to Discord. If it doesn't work for some reason, let me know. I will update the link. It goes bad every once in a while. Shoot me an email or something. But in my Discord, we have those drawings. We have a lot of other stuff regarding Jodi Arias, Letitia Stout, Zachariah Anderson, all the cases that I've been covering, or other cases that are of topic or of interest for everybody. Most of my membership stuff is in Discord, so check it out and let me know if for some reason the link doesn't work.
Yeah, and if you just became a member there's members only stuff in the community page, I think. Well, there is a members page also, I think. There's a Discord that needs it's only been around for 2 weeks, so it's a startup, and but also the cases I'm have been doing and the cases I am currently covering.
The other thing is with Discord is, I think it's also on yours too, Nick, is that you'll get notices of when we go live with something, because sometimes YouTube won't give you the proper notices. You'll get heads up about our streams and things like that. Are also
there's a bot of sorts that posts stuff, but I don't have access to that bot, so I'm not so
No, your bot posts stuff in your Discord. It posts all your streams.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So a bot posts stuff in my Discord, apparently.
Or maybe it's just in my Discord, your streams get posted under your channel because you have your own channel. So maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Okay. But tomorrow it is Serial Killer Sunday, only on Rumble, because YouTube has been really annoying about that stuff. And tomorrow it's a Jeffrey Dahmer trial, but we will also discuss the new serial killer catchings. And next Friday, Chat-Faced for Charity. You already have gotten me one free shot. All you need to do is go there on Friday and support Zachariah Anderson's defense fund with $150, and that's a free shot. So the entertainment is me, guests talking about stuff. There's a new video out with a theory about. Yeah, I'm not going to reveal, but I'm going to play
Zachariah Anderson video.
Yeah, from a YouTuber I've never heard of.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm interested now. I am intrigued. Yeah. I honestly, I don't even know. He's keeping it from me, people.
Yeah. So that will be played on that stream, and I was very intrigued by that guy's theory. Really intrigued. So that will be interesting. And other stuff regarding Zachariah, how he's doing. I got a personal message from Zachariah. That was really, really, really interesting.
Oh, very cool. Mani, super fun. Thanks for hanging out with us. And if you didn't already, go jump over to Nick's stream too, as we are dual streaming, and check out his stuff. He's got some good stuff. And then Baker, I would never drink on YouTube. What's he?
And Dali has started his stream. So
all right, so we will end now. I'm gonna take you out on a short promo video that Farrell put together, and we'll see you guys all over at Dali. Hopefully the redirects work. Don't blame me if they don't. All right, see you guys. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
State of Arizona versus Jodi Arias, verdict, count 1. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder.